across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there and a good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you through until 1 o'clock as usual. And coming up at midnight, like I said, in the summer we do something a little bit different with the midnight hours. It's still your chance to talk back, but we have Monica Price in the studio. She is a nutritionist and broadcaster, and she'll be here to talk us through staying healthy during the heat wave, health optimization, the obsession with this, is it called biohacking, and keeping healthy, carbs and sugars and how they're bad for you, unfortunately, because they're my favourite type of thing to eat, and all sorts of questions that you've got as well. So anything that you want to know about nutrition, vitamins, whether they're really any good at all, do they make any difference, what should you be taking at certain ages in your life, anything like that, or if you're into holistic medicine or anything like that, do give her a call. The number that you're going to need for that is 0344 499 1000. Those calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word TALK and your message to 87222. So that's coming up at midnight. Joining us at 11 o'clock to go through the papers is Claire Muldoon. She'll be here well, she won't be in the studio, sadly, but she will be with us, joining us remotely at 11 o'clock. We're going to be talking about the dangers of e-scooters as a worrying surge in e-scooter accidents is leaving children as young as 9 with horrendous injuries. So we're going to be talking about that and why there isn't more done about keeping us all safe from e-scooters. They're supposed to be illegal on the pavements and on the streets if they're privately owned, but there you go. We're also going to be talking about care home funding. This is an extraordinary, so I've been reading into these private companies getting involved in British care homes, and there's a single US real estate investment trust owns 5% of all British care homes. That's 1 in 20 care homes are owned by this investment trust from the US of A. So we're going to be talking about how we keep private money out of our care system, and that includes the NHS as well, and whether we can actually afford to. So all of that is to come. But first, Andy Burnham has chaired a COBRA meeting to discuss the UK's response to the extreme heat as temperatures are set to reach 38 degrees in some parts of the country tomorrow. Over 1,000 wildfires have been recorded this year after 5 consecutive heat waves so far. NHS staff, firefighters and farmers have been facing extreme heat-related challenges. Well, this evening, Burnham has urged all retailers to withdraw the sale of the disposable barbecues. They are a menace to prevent more wildfires, and he warned extreme heat conditions could be with us for some weeks yet to come. But how do we prepare for a future that looks like the last 5 weeks? Is this going to be it from now on? Are we going to be having these summers every summer? And how do we prepare for that? As I was just saying, 0.3% of DEFRA staff, 0.3%, that is 20 people in total working on food security in this country. I don't think that is nearly enough. Well, joining me now to discuss what exactly we're heading into is Dr. Ella Gilbert, who's a climate scientist and broadcaster. Thank you so much for joining me. First of all, Ella, can you just explain what a drought is? Because I know that sounds like a stupid question, but we're all being told we're in drought, right? Nearly 75% of the country is in drought. And yet people are still turning on their taps. We've still got water. So I think we imagine drought as being like the Sahara. So what do we mean in terms of drought in this country?
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling my internet is not playing ball, but the drought in this country is, we're used to being a very wet country, and we are not used to seeing conditions with prolonged lack of rain. So for us, it's not necessarily like having a complete desert situation. It's more like having much less rain than we're used to, like we've had in the last few months. We had a very, very dry April, we've had a very dry May, a very dry June, a very dry July, and it looks like, and so far it has been, a very dry August for everyone in England and also parts of Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland is, of course, a different picture. They're getting more rain at the moment. But for us, down south, drought conditions are prevailing, and that means we're just seeing far less rain than we are used to.
So it's relative drought?
Yes, but we're also, you know, the rivers are low. I walked over the Thames, not like last weekend it was, and the water levels are so low. There's practically exclusively mud poking out of the riverbank, and reservoirs are running drier. It's not like you can't turn your taps on and things don't come out. It's just that the amount of water in the system is much lower than usual.
How do you think the government has responded to this? My feeling is that they're not really saying very much at all.
Well, exactly, and that's the problem. They need to be taking much more urgent and decisive action on this, because it's quite clearly a problem that's affecting us right now. We are already seeing and feeling the effects of weather, the effects of heat waves, the effects of droughts, the effects of wildfires tearing through nature reserves and getting alarmingly close to people's houses. And that is something that we need to address, because we cannot continue to live around this. We really need some action, some dramatic action that responds to this emergency in an appropriate way.
What would you like to hear? What do we need to hear? I mean, I've been talking about food security for a week or so now, since the National Farmers Union came out and said, look, we're in trouble in terms of yield and crops. But there doesn't seem to be any urgency behind it.
No, you're right. And I think what I would like to see as a climate scientist is more of a push towards those net zero policies. And the fact of the matter is, it's going to keep getting hotter and the extremes are going to keep intensifying until we reach that net zero. And I'm aware that net zero has become something of a dirty word recently, but we have to get there if we're going to be able to reach a future that we actually want to live in.
But the world needs to reach net zero, doesn't it? If we're the only country that has reached net zero, it's not going to make a jot of difference.
Well, it will make a jot of difference to us, and it will also make a difference in terms of our emissions being reduced.
But to the world,
and
to the climate.
If all the countries in the world. Yeah, it would. I mean, if all the countries in the world that represented 1% of emissions, which is what the UK is, said, oh, we're not going to reduce our emissions at all because we're only such a small amount, then that would amount to about, I think it's a 32% of all emissions, and that's more than China. So if everyone makes this argument, then nothing gets done. But actually, if all of us act collectively, then we can reach the goal that we want to reach.
Yeah, I mean, that was what I was meaning, but it is pointless if it is just us.
Yeah, but it's not just us. You know, you see lots of different countries taking action. And I mean, I would urge, of course, all countries to be taking action because it's essential. It's really important that China takes action, that the USA takes action, that the UK takes action, that Canada, that Germany, that every single country that is responsible for its own emissions starts to bring those down, because it cannot just be a unilateral approach. Of course not. It can't just be one country. It has to be all of us.
I was talking yesterday, Ella, about what's going wrong with our green energy in terms of the fact that we had to switch off or pay for windmills to be switched off, and it's cost us over £1 billion already this year. So when you're talking about net zero, how can we achieve that when the infrastructure just is not there? We are wasting an enormous amount of potential green energy in having to switch it off because we don't have the infrastructure. So we're vastly rushing towards net zero, but we just don't have the infrastructure in place to actually live with net zero.
Well, it's a problem that is still present when we talk about other forms of energy. You know, like we're seeing on the Danube, nuclear power stations operating at 10% of their capacity because of the drought conditions. We often see problems with fossil fuel generators because of the cooling systems there. It's not unique to renewables.
No, it's not. But the question still stands. I mean, just because two things can be true at the same time.
Sure. And renewables do need to be integrated into the grid in a kind of holistic way. We need to have renewables that address different, create energy at different points. And, we need solar, we need wind, we need battery storage. And of course, there is still going to be some fossil fuels in the grid for the next few decades because we can't just switch them off overnight. And no one is suggesting that we do that. We need to reach net zero by 2050. That's the goal. It's going to be a gradual tone down of fossil fuels, hopefully not too gradual, hopefully quite dramatic, and a rapid increase in grid capacity of renewables, because we want to be able to have a future that we can live in comfortably, where we don't have these extreme events, where we don't have all of these wildfires and droughts and storms and floods. And we do need to be able to live comfortably, especially if we're getting a hotter climate. We're going to need to be able to cool ourselves down as well as heat our homes in the winter. So it's about creating that energy in a sensible way and having a reliable mixture that is able to support the future and the lifestyle that we want to offer people.
I mean, as you rightly say there, it's not just the heat we have to be concerned with, it is the flooding, and it is then the lack of water, even though we have flooding. So it's water security, food security and energy security, isn't it? And it doesn't seem there's not much urgency around any of them.
No, you're right, and it would be really great if all the private companies that own our utilities, water particularly, would stop paying huge dividends to their shareholders and would actually address the problems and build some reservoirs and fix the leaks that we're seeing. It feels a little bit disingenuous for hosepipe bans to be in place when actually 5 times as much water gets lost from leakages from Thames water, for instance.
It drives me nuts, Ella. It drives me absolutely nuts because I'm on a hosepipe ban and I'm just down the road from a leak that's been going on for 2.5 weeks.
Likewise, it's infuriating. It makes you not want to do the right thing and reduce your water usage because it feels like
pointless.
It's totally unfair. Yeah, exactly. And I think what needs to be done is for government to take real ownership of the situation and stop these private companies profiting out of our important resources that are essential for all of us to live. The ability to heat and cool our homes, the ability to have clean, fresh water to drink and to bathe in and to clean everything in. Like, these things are essential, and the government should be taking charge of those things because we all deserve to have the basic rights and basic fundamentals to live comfortably. And if they're not taking action on those things, then where even are we?
I mean, coming out of the COBRA meeting, all I can glean so far is that Andy Burnham wants people to stop selling barbecues, the individual barbecues, which is a great idea. I think they're terrible, but it just seems to be fiddling around the edges where literally Rome burns.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It feels a little bit like offering a sticking plaster to someone who's had their leg cut off.
Yeah.
Of course, it addresses the immediate concern of fires starting. Fine, that's good. But it's not addressing the fundamental problem at its root. It's not stopping the fires, the situations that create the conditions for wildfires to tear through huge amounts of heathland or to burn through forest. It doesn't stop those conditions from occurring, and it doesn't actually really have a huge amount of impact when it comes to the long-term outlook.
But what are we looking at long term? I mean, this is a particularly hot summer. We've had those quite a few years now, but it's not every year we're expecting this, is it?
No, but the trend is only really in one direction at the moment, and we are also about to really start feeling the effects of Super El Nino, as it's been called in the press. It's already starting to kick in, but it really usually kicks in later on in the year, and that combined with the effects of this record warm year, which looks likely that it could be the second or top hottest year on record. Obviously, it's still only August, so we don't know yet, but it looks like it could be breaking records. So combine those two things, and we're going to see a pretty unprecedented is a word that gets overused, but an unprecedented year next year, and that is going to be likely to continue as we warm our climate, and we're going to see more extremes, and we're going to keep seeing hot temperatures. And what we're seeing now this year is likely to happen much more often in future, and in fact we might look back in 30 years or so and think about, oh, that relatively nice cool summer of 2026.
Gosh. And combined with what kind of temperatures are we looking at for winter?
For winter, it's probably, I mean, I don't know them completely off the top of my head, but it's still likely to be mild and wet. The problem is that we're going to get hotter, drier summers, and combine that with these milder, wet winters. We're likely to see fewer cold extremes, but we are going to see more flooding and more storms, or the impacts of storms in winter, and that brings, of course, a whole other host of issues. And it's just extremifying, if you like, I'll coin a word, to the entire climate. So you see more floods, but you also see more droughts. You see more wildfires and heat waves, but you also see more storms. So it's a bit of everything, really, which makes it hard to plan and hard to deal with and hard to prepare for the future.
When it comes to food security, I keep saying this, it's not just a case that we can just go and buy our food somewhere else, because they're also having the same climate issues as we are, so they're likely to keep hold of their food. What is the advice to farmers? Are we going to just have to completely change the type of crop that we grow? We're going to have to completely change our idea of what we can eat.
Well, I must confess I'm not a particular expert in agriculture, but I imagine that we're going to have to think very seriously about the time of year that we're harvesting things, the way that we're growing crops, the crops that we're growing, for sure. You know, you hear a lot about England becoming a wine country, but it's that sounds nice. That's like one nice outcome. But in seriousness, it's going to affect the harvests of things that underpin our entire diets, things like barley, things like wheat. And in fact, this year, apparently, I was reading earlier, is looking like it'll be the worst harvest on record, and record started in only 1984. But that's not a good outlook. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to have to see going into the future as well, and that's going to impact, you know, things like bread, things like coffee, things like, I don't know, rice, veggies. All of these are really important to your diet.
When we look at the trajectory of the climate, and we hear things like, oh, we shouldn't really have aircon and things like that because it's bad for the environment. How do we square that circle where people, you know, will need potentially, if temperatures are looking that they're going to be in the high 30s or even early 40s going forward, it's bad for our health to be that hot. So we're going to have to make some decisions that are not that environmentally friendly, aren't we?
Well, yes. Of course, if someone is in a vulnerable situation and you are overheating, you really want to make sure that people are staying cool. If it's a kind of urgent situation, you know, you're a vulnerable person, you're elderly, you have an existing health condition, it's imperative that you maintain like a relatively cool environment. Otherwise, you'll suffer heat stroke. You know, I think no one is suggesting that if you're at risk from the heat that you should not.
But aren't we all at risk from the heat in
of course we are,
38
but some people
degrees?
Are more, at 38 degrees for sure. But I think it's a little bit of a yes and, right? We want to be able to implement the things like having more green spaces, having better shade, having homes that are set out and equipped to deal with the heat as well as the cool, having changing the way that we do the working day, for example, or having a maximum working temperature. You know, you saw bus drivers in many cities during that June heat wave who were struggling because their bus cabs were 40, 45 degrees. Heat wave, and it's just, you can't work in those conditions. We have apparently lost about £4.4 billion worth of productivity this year alone because of the heat waves we've seen. That's having a huge economic impact on the UK, and we need to start to think about these things as being a present day threat, because they're already having a huge impact on the economy, on all of our lives. So it's things like a maximum working heat temperature. It's things like having more access to community cooling spaces if you can't get air conditioning in your own house, because, you know, we can't all afford to run air conditioning, it's expensive. Like you have the warm homes discount in the winter, perhaps there could be an equivalent in the summer.
But all of this is expensive, right? I mean, I know the loss of productivity is expensive, but all of this is expensive. Building reservoirs is expensive. They've been trying to build one in Oxfordshire for years, I think 10 years, and there's public outcry about it. People don't like all this stuff. What do we do about that? I mean, it's not quite as simple as it sounds, is it? And it's expensive.
Of course, I mean, it goes back to Theresa May's magic money tree, of course. But some things are essential, and the fact of the matter is climate change will cost us more than climate action will. The Climate Change Committee estimates that the cost of net zero per year is only 0.2% of GDP, and actually the cost of meeting our climate targets is much, much lower than if we continue to do what we're doing and we completely blow past the climate targets and then start to have to deal with all of the extreme events that start hitting. You know, the insurance costs, people not being able to insure their homes or sell their homes, people having to move every time you have an extreme event. The number of people that are threatened by things like floods or droughts or wildfires, for instance, it will just increase exponentially. So actually, spending now, although it's painful, will be so much cheaper in the long run than having to wait for another 50 years when you have to scramble to achieve something that is half as good as what we could achieve now.
Do you have much hope that the government will do that? Clearly not. I love the ironic laugh. Dr. Ella Gilbert, thank you very much indeed for that. Climate scientist and broadcaster. Quick break, back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there and a good evening. It is Talk and it is Petrie here with you. Coming up, just a reminder, we're going to be talking about, is it possible to keep private money, those sticky fingers, off our care systems, the care homes and the NHS? We're going to be chatting about that, as it's been revealed that an American investment company owns 5%, sorry, 1 in 20 of our care homes for profit. So we're going to be looking into that, and as well looking at those pesky electric scooters that seem to be everywhere, even though private ownership of them or private driving of them on pavements and roads is illegal. They're just buzzing around London. I don't know about where you are. Anyway, they are now, there's massive concern about the number of children under the age of 16, 9 years old, suffering from severe trauma and injuries from these e-scooters. So I've been chatting about that as well. And don't forget that at the top of the hour, Claire Muldoon joins us. And at 12 o'clock, Monica Price will be here to help you with all things nutrition. So if you're on a diet and you're worried about not getting the right nutritional value from your food, or whatever it is that's going on in your life that you need a little bit of help with, then do give us a call. She's here for you. 0344 499 1000. You can text as well, put the word talk and then your message to 87222. So, health hour. Do you need help with that? Are you concerned about, I don't know, I mean, I have to take extra iron, I think, because I get dizzy spells. So I'm taking iron, vitamin D, and I think vitamin C as well. But that's about it. I've taken vitamin D for decades, but so I've always had to top up on my vitamin D. But are these vitamins actually any good? It's an unregulated market, vitamin market. Do you remember me saying to you the other week that actually pet food is got higher regulations on it than the vitamin market? So I suppose not all vitamins are equal, but it is astonishing to me that there is less regulation on the vitamins. It's worth millions and millions of dollars, the vitamin market. There's less regulation on that than there is on pet food. Extraordinary. So pick up the phone, let me know what's going on. 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you. And according to an audit by the Times newspaper, a single US real estate investment fund called Welltower owns about 5% of all British care home properties. The American firm holds approximately 920 properties, which means they own 1 in 20 British care homes. The revelation comes as ministers prepare to crack down on sector profiteering, while local councils spend £34.5 billion annually on social care services. Analysts warn substantial public funds are leaking out as investor returns rather than improving care, because these companies want to make profit. That's what they're interested in. They see care homes as a recession-proof investment. And so they would see the NHS in the same way. Well, health experts caution that opaque, debt-laden investment structures risk inflating residents' fees whilst funneling profits into offshore accounts. So all that money, that doesn't get spent here, that goes all the way back to the US, all of our money. So how do we stop this from happening? Is it possible to stop it happening? Andy Burnham said a couple of weeks ago he does want to stop this profiteering in the private care home sector. But what about the NHS as well? We have political parties now eyeing up the idea that the NHS should be more than it is now, or less than it is now, in terms of payment structures and in terms of private firms getting their mitts on our information, like Palantir, for example. So David Rowland joins me now, Director of the Centre for Health and the Public Interest. This is an independent research think tank which looks at the relationship between the NHS and private companies. Good to meet you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, David. How do we keep private money out of our institutions?
Well, it's a very good question, and I think it's very much on the mind of a lot of the current Labour front bench, who started to talk quite a lot about getting rid of profiteering from social care. So two aspects of that. One is children's social care, where there are lots of private companies who are delivering children's social care services who are actually making quite significant margins. And the government's actually introduced legislation seeking to cap the profits of those types of companies. But then you've also got care companies that are delivering services to older people as well. And that's also something which the government, particularly Andy Burnham and Louise Casey, when they've been talking about adult social care, is this issue of profiteering within that sector. Now, it's one thing to actually talk about being concerned about profiteering and money being made out of these services, which really should be going to the front line. And there's another about actually what do you do about it. It's a lot easier to do something about it in relation to children's social care, and that's because of the fact that the government is the body which pays the bills for children's social care. And so what ought to be happening, and is potentially going to happen in the future, is that government will say, well, if you want to continue to provide children's social care to local authorities, then you're going to have to agree to a profit cap. You're going to have to agree to not continue to extract profits in the way that you have been doing at this point. In the adult social care sector, it's slightly different because it's the state which only pays half the costs of care in care homes, and the rest falls back to private individuals. And it's that area that we're seeing most of the profits being extracted. It's people who are unable to access state-funded residential and nursing care, who are asked to pay themselves. And it's that group of people who contribute about 55% of all the income going into the private care sector, who are ultimately at risk of being exploited in terms of these companies making a profit out of the fees that are paid to care for older people.
I mean, I've been looking at some of the fees that people are paying, and they are absolutely eye-watering. £1,800 a week, £1,500 a week is a sort of ballpark. And as you say, that there's a lot of that is extracted from people's savings or from their properties or from their estates. Should private money be involved? Should profiteering be involved in any way in the caring professions, do you think?
So you've got a situation at the moment, I think it's really important for people to be aware of this, that around 2/3 of the adult social care sector is provided by small, medium-sized companies. And those small and medium-sized companies, particularly when they're delivering services to the state, not very many of them are making a profit. In fact, actually, a lot of them are struggling to keep on going. And they're challenged with receiving, very low fees from local authorities, and local authorities are really doing their best to keep costs under control. So as a result of that, that means that often the profit margins for those companies are relatively small, in some cases non-existent. So you've got to sort of be careful not to put all of the social care sector together and say there are lots of companies out there that are making very large profits from social care. It's only certain parts of the care sector which are making profits, and they're tending to make profits not out of the state, but as I say, out of people who are paying privately. Now, there's been a debate which hasn't happened in this country about what type of companies we want to be delivering social care to older people and people in vulnerable situations. We've never had the conversation in this country about whether we think it's okay for companies to be generating large profits from the provision of care, or indeed whether it should be something which the state directly provides through local authorities, or whether we would prefer a not-for-profit model, which isn't part of the state but is run by charities. That, I think, is a really crucial debate to have, because you can't start criticizing the fact that some companies are making profits when the state for the last 30, 40 years has actually allowed them to set up business, win contracts and start providing services in this country.
I mean,
so I think
absolutely. But you have a situation with a lot of these companies, and I've been looking into it, to Welltower, and they don't provide any of the services, it's just the buildings. But you've got a situation where these companies are seeing this as a recession-proof investment. They know people are going to get old. They know people, that's a given, right? And we've got an ageing population here in this country. And in fact, all around the world, there's a problem with the non-replacement as well of people in terms of birth rates. But with private money, it doesn't go back into our economy, does it? This money, it doesn't matter. And they also make sure that they're debt laden. So they make sure that they borrow all the money to put into companies here, and then when they can't pay it back, that company collapses, and we see care homes collapsing. We've seen big groups collapse before, leaving vulnerable people with nowhere to go. So there's a problem with the modelling, isn't there, of these private investment companies. They're modelling for profit. They're modelling so that they don't have to pay taxes. And people just want somewhere to live out the last few years of their life.
Absolutely. And what has happened and has been allowed to happen is that companies and investors have seen the income streams that have come from either the state or from people paying privately as a source of revenue and profit, which is actually quite a strange way to think about a business, that you're actually thinking about how can we make money out of people who have dementia. That's really kind of what lies in many instances at the bottom of some of these businesses decisions that are being taken. It's really important to try and think through, okay, so what do we do about this? How do we ensure that as much money which is paid into the system actually goes to the front line? Because, in addition to the fact that people are being required to pay for their own care, are seeing their assets and their wealth depleted once they're forced to pay privately, you've also got another side to that, which is that you've got a care workforce which has very, very low comparative rates of pay. It has very high turnover rates. About 30% of the care workforce turns over each year, which is not good for the development of the caring profession, but also not good for people in care homes and receiving care at home as well. You actually see instances of modern slavery occurring within the care sector because the rates of pay are pushed down as low as possible, and companies are in situations where they can successfully exploit workers. So you've got all of these various different aspects of the challenge of being able to provide care within this market system that we have at the moment. And, the Labour government at the moment is saying this is terrible, we don't want this, but equally this has been a consensus between the Conservative government and the Labour government and the Liberal Democrats over the course of the last 30 to 40 years, which has been to try and ensure that you keep the cost of care as low as possible, that you push as much of the responsibility of care back to individuals and their families, and that you allow this private market to flourish. So it's quite a big task to turn that around, but there are obviously things that can be done. So, for example, when care companies are given a license to operate in this country, first of all, they need to be tax registered in this country. Secondly, there needs to be agreements about the level of profit which they can make. Thirdly, the issue of debt. You know, we've seen in some instances that 16% of the weekly fees of some of the care home operators are actually going directly to service debt. I mean, that's a huge waste of resource that doesn't go anywhere near caring for a person or going towards a care worker. You could regulate to ensure that those types of financial engineering mechanisms are no longer part of the system. But that actually takes quite a lot of political will to grasp that subject and actually start thinking about how do you move forward with actually some legislation, because the care system at the moment is very, very dependent on that market. And if you start pulling away at some aspects of it, then you are potentially going to face some quite tricky situations in terms of the continuity of care. So
in other words, big people pulling out of that market because you're limiting their ability to make profit.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, you've also got all of these debts that have been loaded onto these companies. If the companies can't service the debt, in the instances that you talked about with the real estate investment trusts, they own the properties, and you've got situations where care home operators are having to pay, you know, rents which increase by inflation and then plus 3-4% a year. So if those companies can't continue to make the rental payments, then as happened with one of the large care home operators a few years ago, it will go bust. And then what happens? What actually is government's thinking once you start pulling at some of these threads?
When we look at what's been going on in the care home world, both for children and for older people, are you worried for the future of the NHS and the amount of private money and vultures circling that there are at the moment to get involved in the NHS?
I think what's really interesting is that the same types of issues that government is saying it's concerned about now in relation to children's social care and in relation to adult social care, so care for older people, the exact same problems are starting to emerge in relation to the NHS as well. So you've got companies that are operating that are seeking to extract profit out of the provision of things like eye care services or the provision of ADHD provision, areas that we've looked at recently. And these are companies which also have very large debts that have been loaded onto companies. And so NHS money is now being used in the same way as social care money is, which is to feed these financial engineering models, which are extracting money out of the system. And that's hard-won taxpayer money as well. We're talking about scarce resources here that Parliament has said, we want this money to go to care for people, to care for the sick, to care for older people, to care for children. And instead, it's leaking out of the system to companies, often registered offshore, often very difficult to track down who actually own some of these companies. And I don't think anybody can be really comfortable until we've got a full grip on where public money, when it goes into the private sector, ends up.
Completely agree with you. Fascinating. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. David Rowland there, Director of the Centre for Health and the Public Interest. Quick break, back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. Don't forget, coming up at the top of the hour is Claire Muldoon. She will be here to help us go through the papers for Thursday. But before that, a worrying surge in e-scooter accidents is leaving children as young as 9 with life-altering injuries across England. According to a new report analysing data from major trauma centres in Liverpool, Manchester and Sheffield, nearly 500 children under the age of 16 have required urgent medical treatment for e-scooter related crashes since 2019. Medical professionals report a wave of severe casualties, including fractured limbs, facial trauma and catastrophic injuries such as broken necks and brain damage. As the casualty toll continues to rise, medical experts are sounding the alarm, demanding a stricter government safety regulation and urging retailers to explicitly warn buyers about the physical and legal risks of underage riding. And of course, it is illegal for private e-scooter riders to ride them anywhere but on private land with the owner's express permission. And yet we see them all over the place. And I don't think it helps that in London you can rent these things, or you probably can in other cities as well. So it's giving a mixed message. The government is giving a mixed message. You can rent these scooters, but you're not allowed to use your private ones. There's no helmets required, nothing like that. And you're not supposed to be able to ride them in London unless you've got a provisional driver's licence and you're over the age of 16. But of course, that is not what we're seeing. We're here to join me to talk about this is Dan Campsall, who's chair of Agilicis, a road safety consultancy. Dan, thank you for joining me. Is it a problem, this mixed message that you see that on the streets of cities and towns you're allowed to ride these things, and then you're told but it's illegal to ride a private scooter on the pavement or on the roads?
Well, I think it probably does create some confusion for those who are out there because, as you say, in about 24 locations across the country, we've got rental schemes in operation. So you download the app, you access your e-scooter, you use it for your journeys across the city, and people see those and they think, oh, e-scooters, that's a thing, that's something that I can ride. Maybe they then pick one up from either bought online or in a store. And as you rightly said in your introduction, there is a completely different regulatory framework in place. The public hire schemes are covered under a trial programme operated by the Department for Transport. They are legally permissible to use within certain limited locations. But if you just go and pick one up from an online retailer, you have no freedom to use that on the road. And what we're seeing is significant risks associated with the use of scooters across our road network. But actually, the worst of the outcomes seems to be associated with people who are not using the rental schemes but are using private e-scooters.
The rental schemes as well are limited, aren't they, to what I still think is quite fast for a scooter, 15 miles an hour, but some of these private scooters can get up to 28 miles an hour.
Yeah, and some of the evidence that you pointed to in that introduction, the research that was published in Nature just this week, indicates that the nature of the crashes that we're seeing on the road, those higher speed crashes, they result in quite severe and often traumatic injury. Now, they compared the injuries that are received by those who are riding e-scooters to those who are riding motorcycles and also pedal cycles. And when crashes occur, you're about 3 times more likely to suffer a traumatic brain injury if you're involved in a crash on an e-scooter, and part of that is to do with speed. And where across Europe they've limited the speeds of e-scooters, brought them down from 25 kilometers an hour, roughly sort of 16, 17 miles an hour, down to around 10 miles an hour, actually it's about halved the rate of casualties that are arising. So speed is definitely a key part of the issue.
The other part of the issue that doctors and trauma doctors have been referring to is a lack of helmets that scooter riders use, which, again, it's difficult to legislate to say you have to wear helmets if it's illegal to be riding those things in the first place. So you know, if people are riding them illegally anyway, are they going to listen to an idea that you've got to wear helmets or protective gear when you're riding them?
Yeah, and as we said, I mean, I think there might be some confusion because of that dual regulation that we've got in place between the rental schemes and private. So some people might think, oh, it's, you know, I've seen scooters, it's fine, I can ride them on the highway. But the wearing rates are very low. I think that's the key issue here, is that only around 6% of e-scooter riders are wearing helmets. And as I've just said, when they do come off, the collision dynamics are very similar to falling off a bike. You fall from a similar height, and therefore the head injuries that you can sustain are quite similar to those that you could experience from a pedal cycle. But we've just got much higher wearing rates for helmets on pedal cycles. So that's why we're seeing higher rates of traumatic brain injury for those who are riding scooters.
And the smaller wheels on a scooter also add to the issues, don't they, of real problems with bumps or holes in the road?
Yeah, that's right. So when you're sitting on a push bike, your center of gravity is sort of between the wheels, and you're seated. So actually, you're in quite a stable position. Whereas when you're on a scooter, your weight is significantly higher and significantly further forward, and you're riding on much, much smaller wheels. And what that means is that you're in an inherently much less stable position than you are when you're on a push bike. So when you hit a pothole or a curb, or you catch a drain cover, or you swerve because somebody stepped out into the road, any of those things is inherently destabilizing, and it's much, much easier to come off if you're on a scooter, because the wheels, the geometry, the riding position mean that it's just much less stable than a bike.
And do you think that we're talking here about very young children dying or having catastrophic injuries? Do you think the parents are unaware of the rules around these e-scooters? Because they must be the ones buying them, right? Especially for a 9-year-old. We had two 14-year-olds, I think, in Wythenshawe, where one of them died tragically, and the other one was very seriously injured with a brain bleed. They were just 14 years old. So what were they doing on one if the message isn't getting out there to parents?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously there is a responsibility on parents for those, and we're seeing around about 1 in 3 of the injuries in the official data are those under the age of 19. So a high proportion of those casualties are the young. I guess I also am a little bit sympathetic as a parent of 5 kids, and I think about, you know, the sort of the things that I did when I was a teenager that my parents were unaware of. They might well have given me a bike because I was going to use it to ride to school, but then there's the other things that I got up to when their backs were turned. So, you know, I think we need to recognize, actually, if we're going to improve safety, it's not just about placing more responsibility on the parents, although I think there's an engagement, a conversation that we should have there. But we do need to think about the system overall, and whether it is facilitating the use of a mode of transport that has inherent risks associated with it, and where we haven't really clarified the regulatory position. Do we need e-scooters? I mean, you know, is there an argument to say, look, these are too dangerous. They're not. You can take a bike. You know, that's safer. We don't need these things on our roads or on our streets. Well, I think there's certainly evidence that bikes are safer, and mile for mile travelled considerably safer. Some other jurisdictions have started to implement a more rigorous regulatory program. So actually they ban their use at night time, where they are less visible, and also they're terrible at night. They literally can't see them at all. So hard to see, maybe also being used when people are a bit impaired because they've been on a night out. So actually, if you reduce nighttime use, then you can reduce the collision rate, you reduce the speeds, you can reduce the collision rate. So there are things that you can do that make them safer, but what you're doing to make them safer is reducing the amount of trips that are being taken on them. So yeah, there is a bit of a problem with the safety of e-scooters generally, and there are clearly safer modes that you can take.
But you don't think there should be an outright ban on them?
I would probably wouldn't necessarily go there, but I think, you know, what we've seen is in limited use, they facilitated some people getting out, getting access to, you know, the urban realm, work, education, etc., where you haven't necessarily got such good other public transport provision. So I can see that they might form part of the urban transport mix. But I think at the moment we've got a problem with the collision rate, and we need to find a much safer way of integrating them into that urban transport mix. I
mean, there's no doubt in London that cyclists hate the scooter people. They're always in the way. There's loads of them. You know, I can see the cyclists getting very, very frustrated with them. What do you want the police to do? Because the police are saying, look, it's impossible. There's so many of them. It's impossible for us to stop everybody. Do you want to see them getting a bit tougher on it?
I think we've seen some really good examples, actually, of police intervening, both around e-scooters and also on electrically power-assisted cycles that are over-specified. So actually, the Met Police have been running an operation where they have been testing the power output of particularly sort of, as I say, electrically powered cycles. And then they can confiscate them. I think, you know, it's not actually that hard to do, and there are some good examples of police forces who've been very proactive.
Good to talk to you, Dan. Thank you very much indeed. Dan Campsell there, who's chair of Agilicis, a road safety consultancy. Right, coming up at the top of the hour, it is Claire Muldoon. She's going to be here to help us go through the papers for Thursday. So stay where you are, because me and Mullers are next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a good evening to you. This is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And don't forget at midnight, because it's the summer and we like to do something different through August, we have Monica Price coming into the studio. She's a nutritionist and broadcaster, and she'll be here to help you with all your nutrition questions. So I have questions about vitamins because I'm finding out that it's a completely unregulated market. I want to know how safe it is for us to take the vitamins that we are taking, because we take them because we want to be healthier, don't we? But are they really doing the job? So there's lots of questions that I have. I hope you have questions too. So do get ready to give Monica a call. She is known to you. She's been on this programme before. So give her a call, 0344 499 1000. Those calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And text the word TALK and your message. Any questions you have for her, I can ask her. The number is 87222. Well, joining us now, much anticipated, of course, is the fabulous Claire Muldoon.
Good evening, Petrie. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm really not doing well with this heat at all. I've got both my kind of like windows open here for ventilation. So we're going to have moths, we're going to have mozzies, we're going to have everything fly by. Yeah, I think so. Because there's just no other way to deal with it. It's just, I really struggle with this heat. I really can't do well with it at all.
Are you not sleeping? Is it really hampering your sleep?
It's a bit of that. Well, yeah, it's the clagginess of it. It's the intensity of it and the humidity as well. And it's just not good. No, I just don't like it.
No, I mean it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I mean the microclimate in my garden is just ridiculous. I mean just the jungle.
Yeah, I could believe it.
The jungle is jungling because of the weather and of course the lack of water and everything. It's loving it, but I'm not. So I'm with you.
I mean,
on
I don't
that.
want to complain about it, but I mean it is only centred around mostly the southeast of the country. And, you know, other parts of England as well. There's none of this in Scotland. Absolutely none of it. And it's still raining and it's still cold.
Yeah, and that's why people are going on holiday up there. But it's set to be 38 degrees, 36 tomorrow. To 38 degrees tomorrow in London. Are you at home? Are you going to work? What are you doing?
Well, I've got plans, but I really think I have to cancel them.
No.
Well, the thought of a commute and people's personal hygiene.
I know that's
it's just no.
I've got an appointment in town tomorrow, but I'm going to drive, I think.
At least the District Line and the Hammersmith and City are air conditioned to a certain extent, and they're completely open.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's just not nice.
No.
And then you've got people that just stand in the middle of the street. They just stop.
It's tourist season.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's tourist season. They all meander about with nowhere to go.
No, they've got nowhere to go with absolutely no direction at all. I think if anyone comes here, they need to be...
They need to be schooled in how to walk on a London street. Get moving!
They do.
Get moving!
And and there needs to be like transport only for tourists. You were talking about e-scooters and stuff like that. Get them all in the e-scooters and we could just have peace and quiet
on the buses
and commute on the buses.
Yes. On the buses and the trains. Did you watch the solar eclipse today?
I was out in the balcony and I watched it. I took pictures, but we had no eclipse here.
No, it was pretty weak here as well. I have to be honest. In East London, I thought it would be more significant than it was.
I thought on that 17th floor, the view from your studio, I thought would be phenomenal. And indeed all around News UK building at London Bridge. I thought it was going to be great, terrific, but apparently it wasn't.
Apparently London Bridge itself was absolutely packed with people, completely packed, trying to get a good view of it. And the pub just at the end here near the train station, that was packed as well, more packed than it usually is on a Wednesday.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So there were people there just wanting to be... I mean, the sky went a funny colour and it was interesting.
Yeah, it did get darker.
Yeah, but only...
And the silence of the birds, did you notice that? Because I remember when we had the last eclipse, I was still in Glasgow at the time, I think, and it was quite eerie. the birds stopped tweeting, and it was just,
Really?
yeah.
I don't really notice the birds in South Bank, really.
Well, here it was a bit darker, but the sun was still beaming. I mean, my daughter in Belfast as well, it was too cloudy for them. No reports in Glasgow either, but Spain, I think, had a really good view.
Cornwall
And Ireland
had a good deal as well. Actually, Cornwall, it looked quite cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that from a couple of news agencies that were down in Cornwall.
I didn't realise the kind of like the pagan significance of an eclipse.
No, what is it?
I don't know, but I mean there is one.
Oh,
there definitely is one, yeah.
Well, maybe that's why we all felt a bit eerie. Maybe, who knows? Well, of course, that is covered on the papers and on the Times front page. Eclipse. This is the eclipse seen from Spain. So that was on a totality eclipse.
Yeah.
So they got the full coverage of the sun by the moon. It's an extraordinary photograph. This is Europe's most significant eclipse in more than 25 years. So there was a great deal. What I was surprised about, Claire, was how many people really engaged with it. I thought that was quite
Loads.
cool.
It was, and I watched after I watched the athletics, I watched the BBC News, and there were some really beautiful pictures taken by people out in this country looking for the eclipse and looking to the eclipse. There was one boy dressed in a wee spacesuit with his wee glasses on, and then you've got the ones with the colanders, like making the
Jana did that. Our Vision Vixie Jana did the colander thing.
And the cereal boxes as well. I mean, you just forget. I mean, it's like Blue Peter from the 70s all over again.
But I was really pleased.
So lovely.
Yeah, I mean, John was telling me, the producer here, John, he was telling me that he went to queue for glasses on Monday after the show. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, he found somewhere that was waiting for some more glasses to come in, and he queued there with, he said, about
Did he manage to see anything
about
tonight,
50 people. Yeah, he did. He had the glasses and went on to the 10th floor. Is it, no, 14th floor, where the canteen is here, and was able to see it from there. But so many people engaged with it. It's extraordinary. It's really good, actually, to see that.
I agree. I really agree. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
and
lots of kids, lots of families.
Events like this are global events, and it seems, because obviously it is the sun, everyone can see the sun and the moon at some point, and just to see that whole the majestic sight. I mean, we had the Americans going to the dark side of the moon earlier on this year. Now we've got this solar eclipse. What's next?
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see the whole world come together for a change.
Just one thing before we move on. Can you ask Monica Price, please, if there is a definite disparity between the quality of vitamin tablets? Like, say you went to a bog standard chemist and bought like a vitamin, all the multivits that you actually need.
Good question.
And then you pay more for maybe a perceived better brand. Is the quality different, and are the effects different on your body?
No, I'm just writing that down.
Between budget brands and premium brands, because that's always been something that I've always wondered.
Yeah, I've always wondered that as well, because some of these designer vitamins are eye-wateringly expensive. I mean, they're ridiculous just for a vitamin D or whatever.
Exactly, or whatever. And the really big thing that you highlighted was this industry is completely unregulated.
I mean,
so therefore
food has more regulation than vitamins. Crazy.
So you would want to buy a premium product because you would automatically think that you are getting more benefits from it.
Absolutely, instead of just a brand, and you're probably paying for the glass bottle and the brand, aren't you? That's what you're paying for. I'll definitely ask her that. Thank you for that.
Great. You're very welcome.
I shall ask her, and I shall feed back to you at some point. Let's continue looking at the Times, though. Barbecue ban to help stub out wildfires. It isn't a ban. It's a weak half measure of a ban. He's advising it.
Well, I'm glad he's advising it and not doing an outright ban, because people have to take accountability and people have to be held responsible for their actions, Petrie.
But who in their right start a fire?
But who in their right minds would go out in this weather and buy one?
That is absolutely stupid. I mean,
it's so stupid.
But we know there
So
are
I think
stupid people because stupid people do stupid things.
Yeah, but we don't need to infantilise the whole country by the Prime Minister with everything else he's got in his inbox to say, I'm banning portable barbecues.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are in other countries during the summer months for the reason of fires, because they don't trust people not to do the sensible thing, and we can't trust them. I know we can't trust people. When do you know? Who do you know that does a sensible thing?
You do, I do.
Yeah,
Your squirrels don't.
My squirrels.
Beavers do.
Yeah,
beavers are very sensible.
They are very sensible, but you, me, and the beavers, that's it.
But listen, you mean the beavers, love. That is all we need.
That is all.
If McCartney and Lennon were to write a song now, it would be
that would be
Hosken, Mulders, and beavers.
And beavers. That's it. They're the only sensible creatures on the planet.
Yes.
So no ban, but I do think people have just stopped doing it. They're just stupid anyway. They just stop it. Firms' fury at 0 hours reform. Burnham's proposals predicted to pile £3 billion worth of costs on businesses, and hospitality, trade and youth employment has hit the hardest. This is plans to restrict 0 hour contracts, could impose eye-watering costs of up to £3 billion a year on businesses.
I think this is actually a very good idea because I hate 0 hour contracts. I hate the concept of them. I'm all for casual labour in times of when, especially students, because this is the younger generation that was mentioned in this report, so I'm going to take them and run with that. We all had summer jobs before we went off to university. We all had Saturday jobs. Great. Okay, if they're there, use them. But you cannot build a family. You cannot build up savings. You cannot build up security on 0 hour contracts, because all that does is give the companies the ability to give someone, I mean, the contracts are 15 hours a week, for heaven's sake. Some of them are spread over 3 days. Some of them are spread over 3.5 days. What good is that to anyone? And that's why we have got a welfare bill so high, because these kids on these 0 hour contracts are not getting enough money to live, and therefore they cannot have the 2 jobs that they might need. They cannot have the 3 jobs because they do not know their rotas from week to week. And then you factor in a mother with children for school pickup times. Surely it's better to give. You work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can do 10 till 4. You 10 till 2. That's your 4 hours. You don't need a break. So you've got your 4 hours. You go, you work. You don't cost us a penny really, because you're not taking time off for fag breaks or coffee breaks, because you're allowed to work 4 hours without a break. Other people who do have flexibility can work before that and after that. And then you can give people specific days so they can then perhaps take another job, say to the other employer, I can work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for you, PM or whatever, and weekends. That's the way it should be doing. Get rid of 0 hour contracts because they're so bad.
Some people like
them. And they're
them.
very punitive.
Some people like them, though, and they don't want them got rid of because it does suit them that they can actually be doing something else and then in the evening just decide to switch on their cab, their private hire, and go and do a couple of...
That's fine. That's fine. That's almost like a working gig economy. That works for people like that. But if you're talking about, as we are here, the hospitality industry, Gen Zers and everyone else, it doesn't work. People need job security. And it'll give, actually, what it will do as well is give the employers greater security in the sense that they'll know who's coming and
but
who's
it's the
coming to work and
employers
when.
that don't want it because they like to have a flexible workforce that they can surge use when they need to and then drop them when they don't without paying sick leave.
If we had, that's not happening now because of Angela Rayner's employment rights. That even works and overrides 0 hour contracts. If you're working for a firm and you don't work, you have to have a sense of responsibility from the employer. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose as long as you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, that's what I said at the top. Yeah. I said, you can. There is a workable hybrid version.
Yeah.
And that's what we had before.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Telegraph. This is such an interesting thing that this point of principle that Andy Burnham is going with. Moving migrants to middle-class areas will cost more, but the Prime Minister insists it must happen as a point of principle, and that taxpayers will just have to pay the difference.
Mm. When he announced his 3-point plan yesterday, one of the things was, about the prison plan, the letting out of prisoners early, the early release schemes and stuff like that. I thought about this at the same time because, especially with the massive, huge, big yacht they're calling it now, that mega boat that came over with 250 of them, that's going to cost about 25 million over a period of time to house benefits, etc., and deal with in terms of claims. It is too much, and I know they're down 43% on the year, the number that are coming in. It should be down to 100% not coming in. It really should be. However, on that, he said yesterday that, and I think he was speaking to the Red Wall, I think he was speaking to the unheard of the country, who perhaps have voted Reform or Restore, and he was saying to them, look, we are listening. It's not just going to be in the areas of poverty because it's cheap housing. That's why. Blackpool, cheap housing, put them there. Scotland as well have said, that is SNP though. They've said we'll have them, we'll take them, and they've got, cheap housing available. That's the reason. But this is very much a socialist view, and a very, I think he's trying to unite the left, the right, and the centre of his own party by putting out sound bites like this, where he'll, on the one hand, undersell, right, but then overperform. And I think if he's going to do anything like that, voters will not be happy.
Well, no, nobody. That's pleasing nobody, right? If you're saying to taxpayers, look, we're just going to spend more money as a point of principle.
Yeah.
And then come to us in the October budget and ask us for more money to pay for his principles. That is not going to sit well.
Well, it won't. But, they'll use the optic. We've got 43% less people coming into the country now. And the scenes that we saw a few weeks ago from Suter as well, that was just unbelievable. All those boys, they did not look impoverished. They did not look anything less than economic migrants.
Yeah.
They really didn't. Some of their teeth were, that they were better than some people you've got here.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I just think they're just admitting, we're going to spend more money to put people into.
But why do you think he put that out, though? I don't understand why he did that.
I honestly, I'm at a complete loss with political communications at the moment. It just defeats me. I don't understand any logic of it.
And yet, I think he's quite a good communicator.
Yes, so do I. But so far his comms team are not doing him any favours at all.
Do you think that was a vote to the backbenchers? Do you think that was him saying, you know what, this is a socialist government. You know what, I know what you feel. You know what, I know what you're saying. This is what you're saying. This is what I'm going to do. Do you think that's it?
It very well could be, because he's terrified of his backbenchers, as he should be. Because look what they did to Keir Starmer. That's the only reason he's there. But it is... for me, it's just I don't think anyone in the country will be happy paying more tax for a point of principle. I don't think anybody's going to be happy with that idea at all. It just sounds mean. It just I don't know. It just sounds petulant. Sounds like a petulant student, in my view. Let's take a quick break. Back in a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie, and with me the fabulous Muldoon, Claire. Let's stick with the Telegraph, and Putin threatens to seize British ships after oil crackdown. Vladimir Putin has threatened to seize British vessels in retaliation for a European crackdown on Russia's shadow fleet. He's not happy.
But where's he going to seize them from?
I suppose from anywhere he can find them, if he can find them.
But we know Russian ships are bordering our territory in our waters, and some of them have been known to use different countries' flags. Because remember, Keir Starmer came out and said that he wouldn't hold back in showing Putin who was boss, more or less.
I wonder if he's sabre-rattling at Andy Burnham, because Andy Burnham has not declared what his overseas policies are going to be, what they're going to look like. All he's done is said that he will continue to support Ukraine. But we've not heard anything else about that. And there are threats. There are people, specialists in this area, who are saying that Putin is getting increasingly frustrated and is likely to attempt an attack on a NATO country to see what NATO would do.
Will do.
So I wonder if he's sabre-rattling now, because he's not doing well at home.
No. Well, which leader is? Yeah. Trump's not either. No. And, well, they've got the midterms in November. But Putin appears to be using words like piracy. Yeah. I mean, this is quite, we're used to pirates in Africa and Eritrea and off the coast of Eastern Africa, etc., etc. But piracy, it's a bit strong.
Yeah, well, he needs to appear strong, doesn't he?
Naturally, this is nothing less than piracy and robbery. Yeah. And if this begins to be put into practice, we shall be forced to respond in kind, says Putin.
I mean, it's not good, right? But this is what happens to a rat that's cornered. He's doing increasingly worse at home. The war is from Ukraine being taken deeper and deeper into Russia. Even the air defences around one of his palaces have been knocked out. Yeah. So Ukraine is fighting a very intelligent war at the moment, and making sure that Wildberries, their equivalent of Amazon, is annihilated. That their petrol and oil getting to the cars of ordinary Russian people isn't getting there. So, he needs to look strong, I guess. And I wonder if this is part of it. If we look at the Daily Mail, another fabulous photograph there of the eclipse. But the piece underneath says, rewilding link to record fires. A record year for wildfires was last night blamed on Labour's environmental policies. Some 1,017 infernos have ravaged England and Wales this year. And they're saying this because of rewilding.
Well, there was one of the fires up in the Cairngorms. One of the farmers said this has got nothing to do with climate change. This is to do with rewilding. And that got quite a lot of traction. The whole thing about rewilding, as you know, was to attract more bees for the ecosystem, etc., etc. But this is quite an interesting, it's a typical Mail headline, though, isn't it, really? Yeah. Trying to say,
because we need rewilding for the reasons you've just said.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I guess with rewilding, there's no natural breaks, are there, in order to stop a fire? That's maybe the issue.
Yeah, and we've already touched on barbecues we know they've caused some. There was a fire started in Suffolk, I think it was, and the closure of the A31.
That was a van, wasn't it?
A van went on fire, exactly, Petrie, at the side of the road, and that then triggered it. And we've seen the pictures on the news of it's almost like a tornado, these dust spirals that are getting, but you just don't look at them and don't go near them. There's a lot of common sense to be brought in here.
But it's also people chucking a glass bottle on the floor, and of course that will refract the light and cause a fire. So just...
Do you know, it's... And mirrors. I remember there was one of the girls had left their makeup mirror in the room, and the sun got to it and it bounced back, and it almost caused damage. And you can't forget how strong the sun is.
Absolutely.
And how strong heat is.
Yeah. And to start, if you've got a mirror that's
Regardless.
reflecting in out of your window, you can start a house fire.
Yes.
So it's, yeah, and people are just chucking cigarettes, or they're chucking, I don't know, vapes, the battery's exploding and that's causing a fire. Just stop chucking stuff on the ground and be a grown-up, maybe.
Exactly. Take responsibility.
Take responsibility, otherwise Claire and I will be round. We'll be round. The Daily Express. You'll be happy with this because you've got lots of stairs. Using stairs may cut risk of early death.
Do you know what? See all of this eclipse things? I read that tonight in prep, and I thought it was using stars may cut risk of early death. And I was like, oh, I'm a Capricorn. Let's see what this eclipse means for me.
Do you know how often I do that? Every day, about 20 times a day, I misread a headline because I'm in such a rush. Shocking. So using stairs, taking the stairs instead of a lift could slash your risk of an early death by nearly a quarter.
Oh, we know that. It's just keeping
it's silly
fit and
season.
Healthy, isn't it?
It's silly season. We're always being told that you should use the stairs, aren't we?
Yeah. Some of us have got no choice but to.
You could always sleep outside, but that's about it, really, isn't it? Yeah, it was linked to a lower risk of cardiovascular events. We know. Why is it front page?
Yeah. Why is it exactly? Do you know why? Do you know why? Because of I think that the voting will start in Clacton tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
So there's nothing really.
Nobody can talk about it, can they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're not talking about anything to do with it.
Exactly.
I'd happily forgotten that.
Well, you'll be happy to know I'm not going to name anyone, so we don't have to play Jeremy Kyle playing them all out.
Yeah, 34 names of inconsequential people that we'll never hear again. But anyway,
and everyone's into recyclability. But I mean, the length of that voter card must be huge.
It's ridiculous. It's an absolute joke. It's a joke.
It is.
It really is. But anyway, so that's happening tomorrow. Great. Let's have a look at the Guardian. PM vows to tackle climate as nurses warn of heat toll. Nurses were collapsing during shifts amid inhumane, impossible conditions caused by extreme heat. We're going to have to get aircon, aren't we?
Well, yeah, but all of our hospitals aren't even fit for purpose. Some of even the newer ones
so old.
aren't.
But some of
the newer ones aren't even. We've got a lot of Victorian ones here near us, but even across the country, the new hospitals really should be fit for purpose, and they're not. But I remembered years ago that I used to find it quite abnormal to think that in working law, in employer law, you can have a minimum temperature where you can't work beyond, but there is no law for a maximum temperature.
We probably haven't needed it before now, though, maybe.
Well, no, places have it's still been hot to work in places.
Well, hospitals are notoriously hot, aren't they, because of sick people. I think when I came to see you, that room was really hot, wasn't it?
It was really hot. And that was in October.
Yeah,
and they had the heating on. I mean, they don't know how to operate these systems. That's the problem. There's no common sense, Petrie.
No, there's none.
And windows should be open in hospitals. That's why all the old-fashioned sanatoriums and mental hospitals used to have beautiful big Victorian conservatories almost, because everyone would be wheeled out to get fresh air and sunlight.
Yeah.
You know, and maternity hospitals used to be small cottage hospitals that could deal with everything and make everything like these hospitals now, they're trying to be everything for everyone. Yeah. And they just can't be.
No, and they do get extremely hot, but there you go. So nurses, there should be an upper temperature. I'm guessing that will come in. The unions will no doubt insist on that. And Category C jails could be upgraded to ease the crisis. This is Andy Burnham desperately looking at ways to not have the early release scheme. Ministers examining the possible upgrade of security at men's Category C prisons and women's prisons to deal with the overcrowding crisis. I wonder why this wasn't thought of before.
Well, the reality is there isn't much space in women's prisons. There are only 3,500 female prisoners anyway, vis-a-vis 86,000 male prisoners in the country.
I wonder why that is. I don't know. Can't imagine. Quick break. Claire and I will be back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you, and with me is the fabulous Claire Muldoon. Both the Mirror and the Star have got pretty much the same headline, but we're not going to talk about it because then we have to read out the entire list.
Yeah.
So we'll yeah, that's it. Just it's about the by-election. So nobody wants a minute and a half of list. So we'll sideswipe those.
Yeah.
The Eye and the Sun and the Metro. They've just got images of the eclipse on the front page, very helpfully for us to be able to discuss further.
I think that the sun, that the header, the masthead is very funny, actually.
It's
sun
good.
And then the moon.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice, it's a souvenir eclipse edition of the Sun, but I'm just saying it's unhelpful in terms of a newspaper review. Front page.
Well, let's dig deeper and look at the Metro.
The Metro.
That looks like a Pac-Man.
It does look like a Pac-Man. The Metro there. Here's Blot All the Fuss Was About. Hello, darkness, my old friend. And the moon slowly blots out the sun in a shot taken in Bermondsey, South London, as
and
millions.
The advert above for that pharmacy, for a national pharmacy, I thought was a really good one as well.
That's very clever.
Isn't it?
That is clever. Yeah, that is good. And the Eye paper, again, going just with that image, must have been taken probably in Spain, of the totality of the eclipse there. Once in a generation, it says on the front.
Did you see in the Metro as well that coming up on the rails, the Slow Horses star, Jack Loudon?
I love slow horses.
Yeah, but Jack Loudon has been tipped now to be the new 007, perhaps.
I can't see it, can you?
Well, because he's not big enough and gruff enough like Sean Connery.
Yeah,
he
maybe.
is Scottish, you know.
Maybe. I mean, he's good.
He's a great actor.
He's a great, and look, I love Slow Horses is just one of the best programs
terrific
ever. Have you tried to read the books though?
Apparently the books are better.
I find them almost impossible to read, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why, but I absolutely like Gary Oldman in Slow Horses.
Oh my God.
He's just so grotesque. A brilliant character.
Oh, but he's brilliant.
Brilliant.
But the writer of Slow Horses also wrote that funny thing with Emma Thompson and
Down Cemetery Road.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Same
as well.
writing stock.
Both on Apple TV, and I think we're waiting for a new Slow Horses to come up. It's on its way, which I can't wait for. But Jack Loudon, maybe. I mean. There are worse people, right? Depends which way they're going. Are they going to go kooky? Because he's a bit kooky.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean by kooky, but I think he could pull it off. I really do.
I think
another Scottish Bond. I think we've got another time for that.
Yeah, I think we should have another Scottish Bond. I love the Scottish accent. The Financial Times, Ukraine has ceased strikes on oil tankers. Using the Russian port after J.D. Vance has asked them to stop doing it, according to Ukrainian officials. Washington was alarmed that Ukraine was further destabilising oil markets and harming US companies by targeting tankers carrying crude piped from to Caspian pipeline. Terminal in the Russian port of Novomoskov. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because actually, it's Russian oil, so we shouldn't be expecting that to be in the marketplace, should we?
Well, I mean, I think they have got they've clearly got access to their own oil. They're clearly still selling it, because the Straits of Hormuz aren't straightened out. They're still bent in more ways than one, But the funny thing is, no one really seems to hear about Ukraine anymore. And did you hear the Eurovision? I don't mean to cite it, but this is relevant to a certain extent. Eurovision Song Contest organisers have now said that the winners of the competition need not necessarily host the next one. And you think you've got people like Ukraine winning it. All remember at the time the war started, they won, and obviously it couldn't be held in Kyiv.
We hosted it. We
hosted it. Yeah. And I think they're doing that as a move for Israel then to win, and then obviously not host. But you see, I don't know. Watching the athletics today, and there was Ukrainians, competing. You just wonder what on earth is going on in the world where you've got countries that are volatile countries that are in states of despair, that are in war, and yet they can still
it's like Iran.
Step back
Iran had a football team in the World Cup
in the US,
and they always do. I mean, that's just what happens, isn't it? Sport just keeps going on. You have Russia wanting to be part of the Olympics and things like that. So,
and Thatcher banned. Was it us going, or did she ban the Russians from competing? Or Reagan did. I think there was something.
But I mean, the Russians are back in, I think. I think that was the concern, at least the IOC was looking into it. So have you got any other stories? Because we've run out of front pages because
that was because of the solar eclipse. Yeah. Well, I've been completely eclipsed by that.
We have been completely eclipsed
The main things going around today was Burnham's round the houses and round the trips. And one of the interesting things was today there was a piece, a clip up of when Burnham was doing a walkabout. I think it was in Piddington today, or maybe yesterday, wherever he was. And there was a member of the public trying to almost doorstep him and say, Mr. Burnham, what's your view on whatever it was? Mr. Burnham, and it seemed as if Andy Burnham was just walking with his security guards. So the optic didn't look too good, but then subsequently what actually transpired was he sent one of his special advisors over to speak to the chap and say, Mr. Burnham's already addressed your question, and here we're going to direct you, signpost you to where you can actually access him communicating that. But then that made me think, today was the funeral of Anne Widdecombe. And that was only weeks away that she had met her death in such an awful, awful way. Remember the deaths of Joe Cox, David Amos. It's not easy being an MP. You would not think it would be easy for them to be walking around, you know, outside. It's not like years ago when there was respect and when they didn't have to fear for their life, because I think that's what they are actually doing now. They're living in fear of their lives, some of them.
Well, they're very exposed. They're very exposed, aren't they? And I suppose, you know, we've seen before Prescott being, you know, attacked by an egg. And we've seen, you know, which could have been something else. Farage with a milkshake, you know, which again could have been anything in that in that cup. They
could have been acid.
Yeah, they are really exposed. And I guess, I don't know how we fix that, because they need to be available to the public as well.
I think that was quite a good way, and we were talking about his communication skills earlier, his PR team. I think in that instance it was quite a good PR move, really. The rest of the papers today, the stories have just been more or less the Strictly. I mean, Strictly have got BBC have got three new hosts now of Strictly show, which will be starting in the autumn.
Oh, Josh Widdicombe's one of them, isn't he?
As is Johannes, who is actually one of the professional dancers, and gosh, what's her name? That beautiful dark-haired girl that's married to the singer, Emma
Willis.
Emma Willis. So they've got them starting, but the people that they've got in, the celebrities.
I think
there's only about two that I know.
I think Strictly will be gone in a year or two. I think it's peaked, it's jumped the shark, it's on its way out. I mean, I don't watch it anyway, as you know. I'm not a fan. But the writing's on the wall, and that's why Claudia and Tess left. They could see it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I reckon they saw that it had jumped the shark. That was it.
Yeah.
It was going to be downhill from now on, and they wanted out before that happened.
You see, I feel that way about I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I think
I never watched that
all
now.
Those Bush Tucker trials have been done.
Yeah.
Everything's been done. The only show that's worth watching, in my view, is The Traitors.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because everything else, and that won't last forever either. You know, but Celebrity has been on for decades now. Time to rest it.
It's been sold. The Traitors has been sold so many places now across the world that we're even getting The Traitors India, The Traitors Canada,
well, it
The
started
Traitors US.
It was invented, if you like, in Denmark, I think, and it was bought. We bought it, and then it's just still spread.
Yes.
It was from Denmark. I think it was Denmark, and they only ever did a celebrity version of it, and so we did the non-celebrity version of it, which went well, and then the celebrity version.
It went really well.
The celebrity version's back, isn't it?
Well, it's already in the can. It's been filmed. I
will be watching that. But
I just wish I could relive Alan Carr again. What do we make of Caroline Levitt? Because that was a story that just broke earlier on this evening.
Yeah, it's not time for the papers. She's quit as press secretary. Now, she's just come back from maternity leave, hasn't she? So I wonder if that's got something to do with it.
Well, I hope it has, because she was very, very effective. She was superb.
Do you think?
Oh, she was very good at her job.
I mean, I'm not going to deny that. She was very good at being Trump's mouthpiece. I mean, I don't know how she looked herself in the mirror, but she managed to do a good job for Trump.
She did a very, very good job. What else have we got here? So Julie Andrews, 90, she's announced her retirement from acting, and she said that she's not going to be in The Princess Diaries 3. Quel dommage. What will we do?
What will we do? Is there a third one? How can that story be told a third time?
I don't know. She won't return for Princess Diaries 3. That's the headline.
Oh, well, that's very, very sad. Let's take a break. And I'll be back in just a moment as I get over that news.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie here with you, and with me is Claire Muldoon, and we've been going through the front pages of the papers, but they are all pretty much similar and all just showing the eclipse. Did you see though in today's paper the public toilets thing, the surge pricing?
No.
Oh, here we go. Spending a penny would cost more at the busiest times under local authority plans for dynamic pricing in public lavatories. Cash-strapped councils have opened the door to using real-time data to move prices up and down according to demand in public lavatories for the first time.
That's just utterly ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, what are you supposed to do?
I know.
Especially as women.
I know.
What are you know, that's just ludicrous. They want surge pricing for everything. For local car parks as well, they want surge pricing.
I mean, it's crazy. It's just
times.
nuts. They just want to squeeze as much cash out of us as they possibly can.
Do you know, well, people will be squeezing a lot more if they can't afford to pay or they don't have the cash to do it. Anyway, big day tomorrow for lots of young kids aged 18 and above that have sat their A-levels in England and Wales. The results are out tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
So it's tomorrow they're out. So after everything we've heard about Jason Ardy at Cambridge, and after we know about the mountainous debt that students leave with, and the fact that an AI is going to overtake most professions in any event, are we really surprised that there are so many places going into clearing, especially from the 24 Russell Group universities? Over 3,000 are still available, apparently, because obviously the schools know before the kids get them tomorrow, and the universities have clearly allocated their places. The dearth of international students as well now coming over. I actually think if any of mine were going through that, all mine are through it. Tom, as you know, graduated this year, so they're all done. I would actually be saying to mine, don't think again, don't do it, don't get into the debt.
I would say the same. I would absolutely say the same. There are better ways of going about it. Don't get into that sort of debt.
I think the world is changing, and the way you earn your buck is changing and will continue to change, even if you're in a professional. I mean, how many operations now do robots actually do?
And
Quite
will
a few.
do. Yeah.
And will do.
I mean,
clearly, you'll still need the expertise of the medical staff, the trained medical staff, to step in if something does go awry. However, the precision of the robotic arms that are used is unbelievable.
And you've got surgeons doing surgeries from their computers, basically, which means they can get through them a lot quicker. So they use the robots across the world. Somebody in a different country, and they're performing surgery, and then it can go on to the next one.
That all works in practice, and it works to a certain extent. But if you have a power surge, and don't forget, we were told tonight between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. not to put on our dishwashers, not to put on our washing machines. Don't put on lights or whatever. Conserve your energy. I mean, that was clearly a marketing ploy from Octopus Energy, I would think, wouldn't you?
I would as well.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I deliberately put them on.
Did you put them all on?
Of course I did. Of course I did. And if I had enough water pressure in the flat, I would have had a shower too. But that's just me.
I think that is probably just you. But
no, it's not. Julia Hartley-Brewer, I think, would be the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a really stupid thing to say.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to conserve the national grid for what? I mean, we didn't even see it here.
No.
And Jeremy Clarkson's in the papers today whinging the fact he didn't see it either. Lots of people didn't see.
No,
Jeremy Clarkson.
Jeremy Clarkson whinges a lot, though, doesn't he? About a lot. I mean,
grumpy old man.
He definitely is a grumpy old man. You just mentioned your boy there.
Yeah.
What would you say if he was still living at home at the age of 52?
Did you see? I can't believe that man is only 52. He looks a lot older.
I know, I agree.
Is that
this is front page of the
living with your
Telegraph.
parents
Yeah.
is like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
52.
that what happens?
No. No.
And you know the way I feel about that. I've got two colonising me at the moment, and it's just no.
How do you cope?
I don't. That's the problem. And my patience, I was never one for patience anyway.
Are you not just making it as unpleasant as possible for them so they move out?
Oh, no, I'm not that. They can't afford to move out. You know, I don't want them living in a room in someone's house where they have to eat, sleep, and live in the same room, in one room. That's no life. That's like communist China.
You're too soft on them. You should kick them out.
I am. You know that's not true. In fact, I did Peter Cardwell's show last night with Sebastian Selleck, and there was one story there that was brilliant. It was the Canadians, the family. Don't know if they were Canadian. I'm just saying that. They had a child on a flight. Did you read? Oh, yes.
I wouldn't do the safety belt.
Canada flight cancelled after child refuses to wear seatbelt. I mean, come on.
Can you imagine?
No.
If
I were on that flight, that child would have been sat down, gaffer taped around the mouth, clap hauled up, and sat down so the flight could take off. I don't care about the parents. I would have had the parents arrested for not being able to parent.
Can you imagine not having your flight cancelled, having to get off the plane because a kid wouldn't sit down?
Yeah. I mean, and what planet? See, clearly the planet that people go and buy disposable barbecues, clearly the same planet that people think it's okay to, price search toilets at peak hours in shopping malls and local authorities. Clearly the same blooming country that we think it's okay to do whatever you want to do without repercussions.
No, but it is all just getting a bit bonkers. But I think the weather is probably sending a lot of people bonkers. What will you do? You're going to cancel your plans tomorrow and not going out in that heat?
I'll need to do something. I'll need to do something drastic because it's just not nice. It's just not nice at all. And you can have as many fans from Team U, ones that spray water, ones you put ice in front of. It's just not enough.
No,
it really isn't. And cold showering, and we've got to conserve water and do this and do that, and you can't do that. Might just take a bottle of gin and stay in bed.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be floating around in my hot tub. I think that's what I'm going to be doing because it's heaven, especially when it's really, really hot. We just cool the water down and get in there and have a little I have a little floating chair that bumps into the side all the time.
Do you have your pergola over it, or is it?
I've got a mosquito net over it and a bit of a fan, and then all the grapes, which I just sort of reach up and.
Oh, stop!
I know.
What about the dogs? Have they been in it?
Humphrey has. Yeah, he quite likes it. Bailey's not interested, but
really,
yeah, not interested at all. He's too old. He's not bothered. But Humphrey's always in it. Well, always trying to get in it anyway. But you're welcome if you want to come over. Claire Muldoon, thank you very much indeed. Claire Muldoon broadcast there, going through the papers, and such as the front pages are. Here's a bit of a recap for you. Of course, many of them covering that eclipse. Andy Burnham prepared to spend more on housing asylum seekers in middle-class areas, as he insists that it must happen as a point of principle. Dangerous criminals let out daily, says the Met. Dangerous criminals are being released on bail day in and day out, as Mark Rowley has warned, after a serial sex offender who was repeatedly freed to rape and murder was jailed for life. So he's got real concerns with our prisons. The PM is vowing to tackle climate as nurses warn of heat tolls at work. They're saying that they're collapsing during shifts due to inhumane and impossible conditions. And Category C jails could be upgraded to ease the prisons crisis, and on top of that, the barbecue ban to help stub out wildfires. Disposable barbecues could be banned every year during the summer months to prevent wildfires. So those are the front pages, and I'm sure that Ian Collins will be covering those on The Breakfast Show. Right now, though, coming up, Monica Price.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning. It is Petrie here with you, and it is still the Talkback Hour because we have an expert in the studio, which I would love you to ask her many questions. We have with us this morning Monica Price, a nutritionalist and broadcaster. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Petrie. How are you?
Looking very bright and breezy.
Thank you. What can I say?
For midnight. Monica, we want to talk this morning about health and well-being and things like vitamins and everything that we can do to keep well. But at the moment, I think probably a big question is staying healthy during this heat wave, because coming up today, it could be 36 to 38 degrees down south. What do we do to keep healthy in this? Because you feel awful.
You do, and you just feel so tired.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it is. Even I've been feeling tired. Doesn't matter how much water you drink. I think really crucially, drink water. You know, and people say to me all the time, "Shall I drink cold water or hot water?"
Yeah.
But it's actually room temperature water is the best, because cold water can be quite a shock on your body. But of course, in these temperatures, I mean, these are unprecedented temperatures that we're seeing, Petrie. So definitely, stay hydrated. Close your windows, close the curtains, close the blinds. And then open them up at night, because let the cool air in. But it's as far as eating's concerned, very light meals, because you just won't feel like sitting down to a big heavy meal in this heat. And of course, if you're pregnant, can you imagine being pregnant in this heat?
No.
And the shopping malls and the supermarkets have become very popular because they're all lovely, cool and air conditioned. But take yourself off to places like that, somewhere where you can be cool and just be safe, really, because for under 5s, for example. That's the, it's dangerous for them to be out in these kind of heats. We're not used to it over here. So
no, we're not. And I think that a lot of people are not taking it perhaps as seriously as they should, because 38 is really anything higher than that is a danger to life.
Absolutely.
So people are going out in the midday sun and things like that. So
sitting in the park. I saw people sitting
sunbathing
in the
without
park
sunscreen on. I'm really not paying much attention to this. I suppose because we're seeing it more and more often now.
Of course,
but we're so unused to having this sort of weather. It's like, oh, the sun's out, let's get out.
And it's typically British, isn't it? Quick, get out in the bed. But you're right. I've seen babies in prams today, and you've really got to be careful with babies because obviously their skin is just so. It's like tissue paper. So for goodness sake, they shouldn't be out between the hours of sort of 11 and 3. Those are sort of hours. With older people. Same with older people, pregnant people, anybody that's got a heart condition as well, Petrie, because you get breathing difficulties, or if you're taking lots of medication. All these things are really affected by the heat. And loads of people are having heat stroke because, just like you say, they're just not paying attention to it. They just think, oh, it's fine.
What does heat stroke feel like?
It just feels, you feel very tired. You feel very high temperature. You overheat. It's like putting a kettle on and then it not popping off to stop boiling. You just get hotter and hotter and hotter, and then you'll be sick probably, or start to feel sick, and then you'll get a really pounding headache. So that's usually the symptoms of a heat stroke.
And should you take yourself to A&E if you've got heat stroke?
Well, if it's really bad and you're any one of those vulnerable groups, absolutely, go straight to A&E. But if not, just go to bed. Go to bed, and because that's all you'll feel like doing. You're going to feel so tired and so wiped out. And it's crazy, isn't it? We sit here talking about it, and your listeners are probably thinking, no, it's fine. I'm going out tomorrow, it's fine. But it's really not fine, if you're in, particularly if you're within that vulnerable group. But just be careful. I mean, these are such high temperatures. These are temperatures you see when you go to America in the desert. These are desert temperatures.
Isn't it?
It's a different heat over there, though. That's the thing.
And if we're going on holiday, we dress appropriately for that. We eat appropriately for that weather. We do everything right. We wear the sunscreen. But just because we're at home,
we don't do any of it.
We don't do any of it.
No, we don't. And people don't. They're not drinking enough. Because in this heat, you'll just dehydrate so quickly. And particularly again, the young children.
But with children, it's difficult to get them to drink water. But I suppose you can just give them lollipops.
Yeah, ice lolly. Just anything to get that kind of fluid in, because their little bodies just can't. They haven't got a heating system. They can't sweat like us. Exactly. If you've got a 2-year-old who's running around, it's really difficult. So I would just suggest, just keep indoors during those times, those sort of really tough times, which is 11 to 3.
Holidays, though, isn't it?
I know. It's so. I mean, the park. As I say, the park. I went past the park today, in a taxi, and it was packed. And of course, it's going to be because people want to be outside. But just be careful. If you're going on a journey, on a car journey, for goodness sake, take water. Take some snacks. Because the motorways at the moment, especially with all the children on holiday, are rammed. And if you break down, or if someone, you know what it's like if you break down on a motorway, that's it. Then you could be there for ages. And of course, the big Hampshire fire where people were stuck in their cars. You just don't know. Everything is so, we're on sort of heightened alert, and our fabulous services are doing such a good job. The fire service, the police service, and the ambulance are all doing such a fantastic job trying to keep us all safe. So I think we owe it to them really, because they're the ones that have to come out and rescue us. If we don't take care of ourselves.
In the winter, I always have a sort of little rescue pack in the back, because I've always got the dogs with me. So I've always got some extra food and some extra water and things like that in the back. But I never think about it in the summer.
Yeah, no, I always do. I don't know why. It's something I've always done. It's and I'm like that with my grown-up children. Have you got water in your car? Have you got water?
Yeah,
they'll tell you that. But it's so true, and it's so easy to just think, oh, I'll just go in the car, just an hour.
Yeah.
But in these temperatures, anything could happen. Your car could overheat. Somebody else's car could overheat. So I would suggest just be a bit more careful in this heat, and just take care of yourself. And if you feel a bit strange, for goodness sake, just go home.
It's a really we don't think about it enough in this country, because we're not
we're just not used to it.
But like I said, when you go on holiday, you do think.
Yeah,
about
it's funny, isn't it? Because you just
Completely
we've got the
different
pool.
attitude. Yeah.
Maybe it's because we've got that lovely swimming pool
It
there.
is the swimming pool or the sea.
Or the sea, exactly. But even down south, I mean, the southern temperatures at the moment are just unbelievable. You know, I'm from Sussex originally, so all my friends and my family are down there, and they're saying it's just unbearable. So the best places to go are the supermarkets, you know, and the malls where you can just, because they're all lovely air conditioned. And seriously, if you're feeling a bit funny, find somewhere like that. Go into a shop or somewhere where you know you've got that air conditioning, just to get your body a little bit more regulated.
And cinemas, good.
Yes, cinemas is a great place, absolutely.
Absolutely freezing.
But the trouble is, you go from one extreme to the other. That's the thing in England. We go from one extreme to the other. We haven't got quite that dial quite right.
Not it's like this studio. Absolutely freezing.
You and your polo neck there.
I know.
I'm thinking,
I've
have you
literally
got a
got two
blanket?
jumpers on because of yesterday. I was so cold. I was shivering. But yeah, I think that we need to be a little bit more thoughtful about coping in the hot weather. So keep out the heat where you can,
and of course a fan.
But sleeping. How do we do that?
Sleeping is a nightmare in this weather, let's be honest. I mean, because you go upstairs, don't you, to go to bed, unless you live in a bungalow.
And the heat is up there.
It's like a furnace upstairs. So, of course, and again, so we're sleep deprived, which isn't good for us. You know, sleep deprivation is one of the things that,
it's used as torture.
Exactly. We use that in the war, and it's awful. So I would suggest just, keep everything closed in the day, open up your windows and things at night, because then the cool air will come in.
And so do the mosquitoes, though.
I know, that's the problem. The little midges come in.
Yeah.
And the spiders. I mean, I don't mind the spiders, but, people, my friends are like, oh, no, I've got to close the windows because the spiders. But, it's getting to the stage where if this continues, we will be thinking about having, the mosquito nets over the beds like they do in Europe. Because exactly right. We've got all these midges. It was last night or the night before. I left my window wide open. I had my light on because I was reading, and this huge moth just come flying in. And of course, it doesn't freak. But I thought, oh, now I've got to get out of bed to try and see to get him out of bed.
Yeah.
So but just I think as our fans are really good. I mean, the sale of fans, Petrie, must have gone through the roof because. I mean, they're really good. But the problem is with fans I find, they're just too noisy. They're so noisy. But, I think just try and go find your coolest place in the house. I said to my friend the other day, that my coolest place in the house is my toilet. It is, because it's kind of at the back under the stairs. So I thought, oh, this is a nice place.
Put a mattress down.
Exactly. A little bit small, but upstairs, no. So at the minute, and especially for tomorrow, I'll be sleeping downstairs because, and to be honest, that's the safest, again, that's the best place, because if you go upstairs and it's really hot, and again, especially if you're elderly, and you've made the effort to go upstairs, but actually that's not a best place for you to be, especially if you've got everything closed and there's no fans, so you do need to take care of yourself, otherwise you're likely to overheat.
And if you've got an elderly relative,
keep an eye. Keep an eye.
Check in with them.
Check in with them every day in these sort of weathers. I mean, there was a elderly lady, where I live, and she was pulling this huge, those shopping trolleys, the little things. My mum used to have one, and full up with shopping, pulling it. And she was probably in her 80s. And I went past in my car, so I had to stop. I stopped and turned around and went back and picked her up. I said, well, let me give you a lift, And she said, well, not quite, it's fine. I said, no, get in the car, I'll give you a lift. Honestly, Petrie, she was like a half a mile, and she was going to drag this thing. And I said, no. So she went, well, thank you so much. But you see, I said to her, you shouldn't be doing this in this weather.
Yeah.
And then she said,
a lot of them saying, well, who else will do it?
That's what she said. She said, I've got nobody else to do it. So I said, I swapped numbers, and I said, look, if you need anything, call me. And I think that's what you must do now. Just keep an eye on your elderly neighbours, friends, family, because that you may think it's okay, but actually they're going to be really struggling. And of course they won't. No, we haven't got air conditioning, have we? We're not America, where they just go, we'll put the aircon on. We haven't got any of that aircon situation.
We are just not prepared.
We're just not geared.
I mean, I've got to be in town in the afternoon, but I'm planning to drive because of the air.
Yes, that's right, exactly. Yeah, that's another good thing. Get in your car and have a little drive.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting because people are coping with different ways. And a really good way, simple way, is just to wet a flannel in cold water and put that at the back of your neck. It's keeping the back of your neck cool does really help, and your wrists. I remember learning that. It's just if you run your hands under cold water, but particularly your wrists, make them cool. That cools your whole kind of blood system down.
Yeah, they say that as well about dogs.
Yeah, because that's the thing.
Because if they overheat, that can be really, really dangerous. So they say to put a damp towel on them. Don't spray them. But put a damp towel on them and keep changing the towel, and particularly on their paws.
Yeah, it is on their paws. I always think on their paws, on the heat, on this pavement. Oh no! So if you go to Palm Springs and places like that, which I've had the lovely pleasure of doing so, they have little they're fabulous little slippers, heat slippers, so the paws don't burn their feet, because the pavements are just unbelievably hot.
Just too hot. My boys just don't go out.
Don't do it. If they've got any sense, you probably open the door and they go, nah, not for me today.
No, definitely. Well, the puppy would definitely go out, but the old boy's like, forget it. I'm definitely not doing that. Right, Monica Price is with us until the top of the hour, so do send your questions in, as some of you have already done, or give me a call, 0344 499 1000, and those text messages to 87222, put the word talk up front, and they come through to me in the studio.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk. Good morning, and it is Petrie here with you, and with me, Monica Price, who is a nutritionist and broadcaster. And I was talking to Claire Muldoon earlier, and she asked a question which I thought was really interesting, actually. Is there much difference in quality between cheap vitamins and expensive vitamins? Is it worth the price differential?
Yes, is the answer.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. Often. Not always, though. Not always, I have to say. But often it's checking the quantity. So, if you've got just like a multivitamin, for example, if you go to somewhere like Holland & Barrett, other places are available, and you go to places like Lambert's and professional places, the places that I would use to give supplements, the difference will be in the quantity of, say, the zinc that's in there, the vitamin Bs. So the actual quality itself is probably the same-ish. I have to say that's fair, because they add lots. It's like making a cake, and you've got a really lovely rich cake, but you've used different ingredients, and then somebody's made a cake perhaps with cheaper flour or cheaper margarine or whatever. You've got all the ingredients there, but they're just not quite the same quality, but it's the quantity. So often when you read the labels, which people often don't do, especially with B vitamins and all the other vitamin C, vitamin D, a multivit's a really good multivit, but I do, obviously, and that I do notice. So it would be just the level of that vitamin in that particular pill.
So even if it's just a vitamin D?
Yeah, or a vitamin C, for example. You know, vitamin C. Now, vitamin C and vitamin Ds, because they're by themselves, usually they're the ones that are okay. It's when you start having sort of things like multivitamins, you know, fish oils, you know, flaxseed oils.
So you could get away with a cheap vitamin C.
Could get away with a vitamin C,
D.
yes, because funny enough, I did a story about that, and it was looking at, you know, the sort of every supermarket, you know, Superdrug, Tesco's, all the supermarkets, and putting them together. And they're, again, it's just what's in them. So it's whether or not they've usually got the same amount of vitamin C, for example. So it's 1,000 milligrams or 500 milligrams. But it's the actual, have they added anything else? You know, any additives, any sweeteners, which are usually in those sorts of things. You could probably get away with things like vitamin D and vitamin C, single vitamins, but it's when you have a multivitamin, anything which you've got lots of things, then it's always best to read the label. Yeah, it's always best to read the label.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think it was the last time we spoke, I think we were talking about how the vitamin industry is less regulated than the pet food.
Yeah, that's right.
Industry.
We spoke about that.
So are people buying stuff that is just pointless?
Yes. 100%. I will only give somebody a supplement if it's needed, because you should, that being the word,
from your food. Yeah.
You should get everything you need from your food. So, you know, I take supplements at certain times. So in the winter, for example, I'll take vitamin C's. You know, vitamin D is another one that they say they recommend because, we're not getting any light, but actually our vitamin D levels are probably very good at the moment. But certain times of the year, you know, if you're just not feeling well, if you had the flu, then I would take something. But I just feel that we've become, it's an interesting question. It was one of the things, you know, we were going to talk about, I think, but it's how we're kind of, everything, if we have anything now, we think, oh, we've got to take something for it. You know, anything at all. It doesn't matter what it is, whether we've got a cough, a cold, a flu, we feel chilly, we feel hot, we'll kind of think, oh, there must be something there. And of course, social media is awash with all sorts of vitamins and supplements that claim to have, you know, collagen that's going to make us feel 21 again. You know, and I love it when you see these pictures, and they get like a 60-year-old woman and take this for 6 weeks, and then you suddenly appear to be like a 20. It doesn't work. I've tried that.
Of course, it doesn't work.
I often get sent these things. I often get companies will send them to me to test. And some of them are better than others. You know, I just feel, oh, maybe they've made me just feel a little bit energised. But to be honest, if you eat well, sleep well, exercise as well, and that doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym, you should be able to get all of your vitamins from the food that you eat. But of course, our lifestyles are so stressful. You know, our days are so long. People work longer hours now, especially in this job. You know, media is one of the worst for diets and that, because we live on, you know, I don't obviously, but, you know, people do. Energy drinks are a big thing because we have to keep going, you know, you have to, especially if you work all through the night. Anybody that works through the night on a night shift, so again, all of our services, all the care workers, so they have a difficult time getting their proper nutrients.
Don't live as long.
Well, I know. Isn't that awful? It's awful, and I worked nights for years. You know, and so I think read the labels. Always read the labels, and if you're unsure, always consult someone like myself. It's a nutrition, somebody who's a professional who kind of guide you in the right direction.
But even if they're less regulated than pet food, they're not. Are there? Is there stuff that is dangerous? Is there stuff that is?
Yes, yeah. I mean, when we talked, I think we talked about it, Petrie, about when the weight loss drugs came out. Yeah. You know, again, because there was such a shortage of those, people were going in the black market and just getting them. That's the danger. And you know, at the moment, there's it's slightly off piece, but it's just what we're talking about. Korean face cream has become like the thing at the moment.
Because Korean women look fabulous.
Because they do. They look, I mean,
incredible.
You know, 80, their skin is just incredible. So this came up, you know what it's like if you sort of even look at it, the algorithms will make more adverts came up, and it came up on my phone, and I thought, and they said, oh, you know, Korean women use this. I thought, I'll just do a little bit of research, which people don't. So, this company, just nobody uses it in Korea. It wasn't even a Korean company. It was based in Pakistan. You know, so you know that's the issue with social media. We're sold these beautiful images, and we think, you know, this is gonna make you feel better. I always say it doesn't matter, you know, if you don't think you've got to be felt like thin, and you know, the most important thing is when you wake up in the morning. Bless you.
Excuse me. Ooh, I don't even know where that came from.
It's freezing in here, that's why.
I'm getting a cold. I'm catching a cold.
I'll give you something for that. But it's, you know, you've got all these sort of things going on, and you've got all these social media and celebrities endorsing all these fantastic products, and you just think, is it really true? And of course now we've got AI. Honestly, I'm so difficult now.
I'm such a cynic. I don't believe.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything.
No.
We do hear a lot at the moment about prebiotics.
Yes.
And
probiotics. Yes. Well, we were going to talk about that.
Postbiotics.
Yes, I know. Let's just make up another one, shall we?
What,
right.
Is this a load of nonsense?
Well, it's not a load of nonsense, but again, it's kind of catching on to something that's kind of already there. You know, again, your gut, the good, right, I wrote it down so that, you know, clear layman's terms, if you like. So prebiotics, they're found in your food, so very high fibre foods. So if you're getting and eating a lot of fibre, you're all good. And it's that feel-good bacteria. That's why we have it. Now, there's a definite lack of lack of fibre that we're eating in the UK. Actually, people in the UK don't have enough fibre. So that's something, if you're lacking fibre in your diet and you find in your gut and your toilet is perhaps constipation, diarrhoea, loose stools, intermittent, then probably you're lacking fibre. So you take a prebiotic to help calm your gut and feed the gut, the good bacteria. The probiotics, I think most people know that one, that's the beneficial live bacteria. So you'll take one of those and it's millions of live bacteria.
But we've already got those, right?
Exactly. We've got all of this. But that's found in some foods, yogurts and things, anything that's live yogurt, fermented foods. But we take a lot of supplements for the probiotics. Now, they can be very good. If you've had you know, any kind of gut problems, they'll kind of flush out your gut. But again, you've got to be monitored. You have to make sure you're not on them all the time, you know, make sure you're eating properly. And now they've come up with this postbiotics. I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, it's there, but it's a bioactive compound is how they describe it. But what it is, it's the end product. It's when you've got your natural prebiotic and your probiotic, which naturally we've got. The postbiotic is the natural product of those two once they've done what they're going to do in your gut. So now they're saying we can take a supplement for that. I don't think you need to take a supplement for that. Out of all of those, the probiotics would be the one that I would say I found really good and really helpful for people, but especially if they've got, say you've come back from abroad and you've got, you know, you've caught a really nasty tummy bug, or worse still, you've had some kind of food poisoning, that can be really good for your gut. And if you've had antibiotics, if you've been on a long course of antibiotics, because the antibiotics, as you know, will destroy your good bacteria and your bad bacteria. So it's really good to put that probiotic, the live bacteria, in your gut again to get your kind of system back and up and running. But the rest of it, really, again, it goes back. If you have live yogurt every day, you know, with some berries and maybe granola, or, you know, a spoonful of honey. Manuka honey is the best. Chai seeds, some nuts.
You just don't need it.
You don't need it. No, you don't.
I think we are sold.
We are selling, and everything's so expensive. These supplements are getting so expensive. You know, so and
look
again,
at the protein powders and things like that. I mean, they are
crazy.
Tens of pounds. It's
and
just ridiculous.
And you know, there's studies about them now, because we've been using those protein powders for so long, and particularly in guys, because a lot of guys use them. It's affecting their kidneys.
Really?
So, yeah. So I need to find out a little bit more about that. But I was sent a study from my friend in America, and they're now looking at it. So this was a study of over 2,000 men, and the studies have said it's affecting their kidneys. Now, you know, if you think about it, these protein powders, it's equivalent sometimes of having 8 eggs. Now, everything in moderation.
Yeah.
have your eggs, but you don't need to have if you I think anybody who's had 8 eggs on a plate, I mean, most people wouldn't be able to eat that. No. And that's the problem. They put it in a powder form, so you happily spoon in these powders, or it's in a bar or something. But usually that sort of quantity is in a powder, and you put it in a smoothie or whatever, and you think, oh, that's fine. And it's not fine for everyone, you know. So I think it's listening to your body is really important. If you're taking anything like that on a permanent basis,
you know, things like those protein powders are sold on a promise, aren't they? They're sold on. You too can look like this.
Because again, they show you the images of the muscle guys, and the thing is, they do work. That's the thing. But it's a bit like the vaping. You know, we came from cigarettes and we've gone to vaping, and now they're doing studies that are saying that vaping is very dangerous indeed, and it's causing this, what they call this popcorn cancer. It's particularly in the young teens. And now you see, and that's the problem. We have these kind of little fads, and they come in, and I don't know if it's a British thing, but we tend to, if someone says eat blueberries, we all eat loads of blueberries. And then we do it, we overload, you know, eat nuts. So we'll eat tons of nuts. So everything in moderation, anything you do, and just listen to your body. You know, it's really important. If you've seen this advert, you know, taken these pills, we've all done it, I've done it, you know, I take them. But you've got to listen to your body. If your body's not reacting well to them, then that's your body saying, I'm not happy with this. I'm not doing this. You need to stop. Yeah.
We've got a caller, Monica, from Richard in West Yorkshire, who wants to talk to you about those probiotics. Good morning, Richard.
Oh, good morning. Thanks for taking the call so quickly.
Good morning, Richard.
Hiya, good morning. My mum's been given long-term antibiotics now that she takes 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And that's for life now, basically.
Right.
Due to recurrent, you know, chest infections.
Right.
So I'm just wondering what probiotic can I give her?
Yeah.
I already buy the what they called them Yakult things.
Yes, the Yakult.
Yeah, I get them.
They're quite expensive, aren't they?
They're quite expensive, and they're full of sugar.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, lots of sugar. Have a look at the back. May I ask how old your mum is, Richard?
Yeah, she's 71.
Oh, bless her. Okay, so she's 71. So she's going to be. Well, you see, now the best thing, because of her age, I would recommend that you start. Would she have yogurt for breakfast?
Yeah, she does. She does have some of them, and I get different variant ones.
Yeah.
I get the I can't remember. Is it Danone? You know.
Yes, yeah. I would. May I suggest that you get live yogurt? So just natural live yogurt. So you can get that from any supermarket. I can't think of them. Yo Valley is other ones are available, but that's a good one. We get one that says live yogurt, and it will say on the label, Richard, that it's got lots of live bacteria in it. If you get that, and then mix it, put a small teaspoon, like half a teaspoon of chai seeds. And if you put a spoonful of Manuka honey is amazing. And
that's expensive.
It is, but not in lovely Aldi and Lidl. It's amazing. You can get one in there for like £6, so that's very good. So, but honey, just a spoonful of honey to sweeten it, and then add some fruit. And then would she eat granola or some muesli or something?
Yeah, she's all right.
Her appetite's okay. I would try that. That's really good. Yeah. But equally, I would probably. I mean, it's difficult for me to say because I don't know her. You know, I haven't got her whole history. But probiotics would be very good. But not because she's on these antibiotics all the time. It's kind of you'd be spending money because the antibiotics are going to strip her gut. And the probiotics are going to put the live bacteria back in, but because she's on them constantly, it's a bit like you're just kind of. Imagine your gut is a washing machine. That's the way to look at it. So you're putting everything in the washing machine, and it's all just getting washed together. If she had like a spell where she was off those antibiotics, I would definitely give her some probiotics. But if she's going to be on them, you said 3 times a week, basically for the rest of her life, I would probably give her a course just to kickstart. Has she started the antibiotics already?
Yeah, she's been on them now about 6 months.
Okay. And how's she feeling being on them?
Because
they're not really very nice to be on it that long time.
No, they're not. They're not. She's got lung cancer. And,
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've come to terms with it now.
Yeah.
We both have. So she was getting recurrent chest infections all the time. So
I can understand why they've done it, because obviously that could really have an adverse effect on her breathing, which of course with lung cancer she's already probably struggling on some days, particularly in this heat. Richard, how's she doing in this heat?
Oh, it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We're lucky we got prescribed the oxygen, and she had a really terrible time last night.
Oh, I'm so sorry, bless her. Well, I would, I mean, by all means, Richard, contact me. We'll give out my details at the end of the show, but please get in contact. But I definitely go and buy some live yogurt, not, the little pots. Go and buy the big pots of yogurts that you buy. Buy one of those, and it will say on it live, with live bacteria and thousands of bacteria. Get her started, because that would definitely help. That would definitely help. And also fibre. She'll need fibre, your mum. So it's making sure that she's got high fibre bread. So a good wholemeal bread, for example. Yeah,
because she's having intermittent stomach problems now.
Yeah, she will have.
Yeah, she had a gallbladder out 2 months ago as well. So that's
gosh, she's been right through it.
Oh, bless her. But yeah, I think what you can do is just and get her to eat little and often. Richard, big meals, she probably doesn't really want to stomach big meals at the moment. No. So little and often. But what she does eat should be really good and nutritious. So again, make sure that, with something like that, and the condition that she's got, obviously lung cancer, which I'm so sorry, I would suggest that you have organic meats. Try and go organic as much as you possibly can, because you don't want any more chemicals going into her body.
Yeah, we do eat very well. We're
lots of vegetables.
We've got a nice farm shop up the road.
Brilliant. That's excellent. Yeah, that's all you can do.
Well, listen, Richard, we'll make sure that you get Monica's details, so you can contact her privately some other time if you'd like that.
Yeah.
Oh, please, yeah. And my mum's asleep now. Bless her, but she'll be made up about this. And I'll show her on YouTube tomorrow. The show.
Send her our love, won't
Please
you?
do.
And we'll make sure that you get. Are you able to continue watching? So I can give out the details.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right, Richard. Well, I'll give those out. We've got to take a break, but I'll come back and I'll give Monica's details out. So if you're ready with a pen and paper, so that you can write them down, we'll do that in just a moment.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you, Richard.
Take care. And your mum.
Yeah.
Quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk Now.
Hello there. This is Talk, and it's Petrie, and with me is Monica Price, nutritionist and broadcaster, and Richard. The details, we're going to put them up on the screen as well, but it's Monica-Price. So as it sounds, really, MONICA-price, price.co.uk. If you go onto that website, you'll find a contact form. So fill that in and say that you're Richard from Talk Radio and put your details in, and then Monica will get in touch. So it's on the screen there, Monica-Price. It's gone, .co.uk, and then just fill in that contact form and say you're Richard from the radio, and put your details in and she'll give you a call. Some other messages here. Morning, ladies. This is from Sam. It says, being disabled, I suffer with bad cramps and insomnia. Is there anything I can take to help alongside my prescribed meds? It depends what they are. Depends what the meds.
Yeah, I'd have to. That would be my first question. What meds are you on? Because it could be the meds that are causing the problem. Yeah, probably highly likely the meds. The best thing I could do, Sam, is to ask you to read the label. With your meds, and probably one of the side effects, unbelievably, will be insomnia, restless legs. Yeah. Where you just can't sleep. But as far as
with cramps,
bananas. I was just about to say potassium. But it's usually it could be a sign of lack of potassium. So bananas, 100%.
Oh yeah, have a banana.
Have a banana at bedtime. That's a really good thing to do, and make sure that you don't eat too late, because that can cause cramps as well. So again, because your tummy stops at 8 o'clock, so after 8, I know we do, but you shouldn't really eat at 8. We can eat, of course, eat when you like, but after 8, your lovely body clock shuts down and says, right, that's it, I need a rest until about 4 a.m. in the morning. So that's why people wake up at 4 and think, oh, I'm really hungry, and it's because your body clock is switched on. Oh. So that's what wakes you up, and your tummy will gurgle, and you think, oh. So if you can imagine everything after 8 o'clock, and again, I describe it your gut as a washing machine, because that's exactly what it's like. If you eat after 8, it's just going to sit in your tummy and go like that.
Yeah.
Imagine it just on a slow cycle. And that's why if you eat, when you go out for a big meal and you eat really late at night, and then when you go to bed, you think, oh, I feel so bloated. Yeah. That's because you can't digest your food. It's just going to sit there until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would suggest that eat little and often, have a light supper, and have a routine. I find that within people who've got insomnia, a routine really helps. So either, switch off all the tech, no phone, no TV, just rest your mind, get your mind geared for sleep. So either put some...
Don't say that, this is my audience.
Not until obviously after 1 o'clock. Yes, of course,
obviously,
of course.
Yes.
Well, that goes without saying. Yes, come along, wake up, sleeping. coffee. Yeah. But you've got to have that routine where you just relax, whatever that is. Yeah. Then just try and relax before you go to bed. But so many people now go on their phones.
Oh, I do.
I'm guilty of that as well. And I think, why am I doing this? I'm going to be. And then the trouble is, an hour goes just like that.
5 seconds.
It's just, you think, I've just been on there for an hour. It's the devil.
I have to actually ban myself.
Switch it off. Yeah, I have to. So I switch mine off at night.
I have to put mine in another room.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't be trusted. I literally can't. I can't trust myself.
But yes, I try those.
So yeah,
but obviously check your meds. Check for any side effects on your meds. Bananas are really good, and just try and get yourself into a relaxing routine at night, so you do feel like falling asleep. The trouble is, it's really easy to get into that habit of not falling asleep. It's as though your brain says, oh, I'm not going to go. You feel really tired, but then the moment you get into bed, your brain says, bing, and you start thinking about all the... I don't know what that is, but it happens to me, and I think I was so tired when I was downstairs. I come upstairs and I'm bing!
Wide awake. And I also start thinking about things I did like 40 years ago and being embarrassed about them. It's just like, why do I care? Right, let's talk to Paul, who's in Bolton. Morning, Paul.
Hiya, Petrie. You okay?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. I mean, at the minute I've got a bit of a chest problem. I've lived with HIV for well, I got diagnosed 18 years ago next month.
Right.
And
Yep.
I've been relatively okay the whole 18 years. I've had a couple of blips from the medication and that had slight consequences, but then I got back on track. But this year I seem to have been catching a lot of infections, and I'm on my fourth or fifth one, and it seems to be the same kind of infection that keeps coming back, where my chest is just really bad, do you know what I mean? And obviously get some flu symptoms and that. I'm over the very worst, but my chest is just bad. And also I am overweight, I'm not going to lie. I'm 50 next year. And I'm also getting a little bit of a struggling to swallow feeling, you know, when I'm in bed at night sort of thing. I know I need to lose some weight. So I wanted to ask the lady, Monica, if she's got any advice on why I keep getting this infection. And also, I mean, I'm determined to lose some weight in the coming months, and what's the most you can lose a week being sensible, and so your body doesn't look silly, you know.
Yeah, you look like a deflated balloon.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, Paul.
Hiya.
Nice to speak to you. I'm so sorry you're obviously getting chest infections quite a lot by the sounds of it.
This year, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
as I say, I've gone 18 years pretty much okay with all this. But as I say, I do want to lose weight. I do want to tone up. So I'm going to go to the gym, but I just need some advice.
Of course. No. If you're constantly getting infections, then you're low in nutrients. So you're lacking nutrients. So you're deficient in some nutrients. So usually, what's your energy levels like? Do you have quite a lot of energy, or?
I'm not bad for a fat person, but
can you run around the room, Paul?
I can do more than some people who are younger and fatter, but younger and fat. But yeah, I need to obviously improve. But as I say, it's just a bit strange that. You just keep. Well,
it's saying to me that there's some deficiency in nutrients. So you need you do need a really good multivit. You need a really good brand of multivit, and I can help you there. If you like, I can guide you to somewhere where you can have a really good one. Some company that I would use as a practitioner. You need a really good multivit to boost your immune system, because it sounds like your immune system's a little bit shot at the moment. And if you're overweight as well, Paul, you're probably aware of this. You sound like a very intelligent man. It's going to put more strain on your body. So you do need to think about, exercising. And exercising doesn't necessarily mean to go. I hate the gym. I never go to the gym. People think, it's just. But walking is the best thing. But find something that you like to do. What do you like to do as far as exercise is concerned?
Oh, well, I don't.
I mean, if you like the gym, go to the gym.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm into the gym, but I like swimming. But as I say, there's this thing I've got where I'm having a bit of trouble sometimes swallowing in my sleep. And I'm not a smoker. I've never really smoked, and I'm not a big drinker. So obviously that can usually relate to people who've smoked a lot, can't it?
Yes, it can.
And I'm just worried, but I'd sooner try and lose the weight and see if it goes. If you get what I mean.
I do. It sounds like
reversible.
Yeah, no, it sounds like the chest infections. Do you have phlegm with your chest infections?
Well, I have.
So that's probably
that's going to affect
your swallowing. So it's probably just the phlegm. It's difficult, obviously, because I don't know your medical history. So, but I know what it's like. Then you start to really panic, don't you? If you can't swallow properly, you're going to think, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Yeah, it's a horrible feeling. But it sounds to me like, Paul, if you've had continuous chest infections, then you're going to have a build-up of phlegm. So what we really need to do is get you on a really good multivit, and really look at your food. Really look at what you're eating. Up your vitamin C's, because you're.
The problem with vitamins, though, you've got to be careful that they don't interact with HIV medication.
Yeah, that would have been. That was I was going to say. You're going to have to let me know. I can help you, but I need to see what meds you're on to make sure that there's no contraindications.
I don't know if you've heard of them.
Paul, rather than you giving out personal details over the radio, if you go to Monica's website, Monica-Price, and fill in the contact form and say it's Paul from the radio, then she can have a private conversation with you.
Yeah. And also, just quickly, how much weight would you say maximum to lose a week, or roughly?
I would say 2 to 3 pounds.
So a kilo.
Like a kilo. No more than that. I don't know how overweight or what you are at the moment, Paul. But just
I'm not giving that person.
No, I don't blame you.
Quite right. Not on national radio. Thank you.
But I am 50. It's not like I'm 25
Yeah.
or something. I was thinner when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was thin till I was an adult. It's crazy how I'd become a fat adult, and I was a thin. Some people I know it's the other way around, where they were fat when they were young, and then they managed to get it under control.
It's really hard when you get to 50 as well, because your metabolism and all
I know.
that.
It's a wicked sin that you, as you get older, you think, oh, what's happened? You know, what goes wrong?
So unfair.
Yeah, it is.
Paul, so if you put your details into Monica's contact form, it's Paul from the radio, then she can ask you those more personal questions.
Yeah, will do. I mean, it's not that personal to me. It's just talking about tablets. But yeah,
Thanks, Paul.
I'm not ashamed of giving me weight out on.
Oh, bless your heart. Don't ever be ashamed of yourself.
No.
That's not a good. That's not a good plan. Paul, good to speak to you. I've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll speak to Jim.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it's Petrie, and Monica Price is with me, and her website is being updated at the moment. She's completely forgotten. But we do have an email, a contact for Monica. So to Richard and Paul, it's monica@monica-price.co.uk. It's on the screen now. So monica@monica-price.co.uk. That's a direct email straight to Monica. So put your details in, remind her who you are, and she'll contact you back. A couple of questions here. Catherine said, could you please ask Monica her thoughts about added vitamins in foods and beverages, cereals and breads containing iron, for example?
Now, fortified, that's what that's called, fortified. So most of our cereals now are fortified, unless something like shredded wheat, which has, that's it. It's just got the wheat and that's it, 100% wheat. But the cornflakes, all the rest will have fortified, and they'll always be fortified with the B vitamins, because the B vitamins are That's what releases that energy. So they're key, and obviously they're geared at kids. Iron, vitamin D, vitamin C, but we're also seeing it now in margarines, in all sorts of things actually, biscuits. I'm seeing added vitamins, and the reason why they're doing that, and we call it fortified, is because the process that it goes through to make those foods often strip out the natural vitamins and minerals that are in that food naturally, so they add them back in to make sure that we're actually doing something for us. So, and as far as the iron she picked up on there, yes, you do have to be careful with the iron, but the amount of iron that's in those cereals is not a harmful amount of iron. So if she's on iron tablets, I don't know if she's on iron tablets, then yeah, take care, because you can actually have too much iron. People get prescribed iron tablets and then forget to stop taking them, and that could be just as dangerous as not having enough iron. So I would just get it checked. I don't know if she's on iron tablets, just make sure that it's okay. So check with a GP, but probably cereals and things like that, it's just a very small amount of iron.
And is it enough?
Oh, is it enough to give you...
If you're not taking any other iron?
Well, yeah, absolutely, it helps, yes. So, again, if you're eating meat, if you're eating green vegetables, if you're having fortified cereals, then, yeah, absolutely, that's enough for your daily amount, yeah.
OK, and NADs, NAD supplements.
NAD.
I have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia for almost a couple of years now. I discovered that these in tablet form in Holland and Barrett. Do you recommend any other supplements that are beneficial? I take magnesium.
Oh, yeah, that would be my first one, I would have said.
Biglycinate
yes.
As well.
Zinc, does she take zinc?
What's useful for flare-ups? Doesn't say zinc.
Oh, OK. So, hello, Alison. Magnesium and zinc would be the two that immediately come to mind. Again, a good multivit. Anybody that's got that's where I do think supplements have a place, because if you're fighting any kind of disease, especially something like that, your body is immune compromised, so you need to make sure that your body's in a really good state as much as you possibly can. So that's where supplements are really good. So if she's on a good multivit, fantastic. Definitely has got to have good magnesium and good zinc content. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And the last one... Oh, hang on.
It's good. We're getting loads today.
Loads
tonight.
This is from Carol, who's adorable, and she said she's still battling lung cancer. Oh. What she's finding recently is I'm losing weight mainly due to the breathlessness and a complete lack of taste, which has made food almost not worth the effort. I'm still reasonably fit, but each day with my dogs, which always makes me feel better. I'm finding that I'm always sucking mints and sherbet lemons, which can't be healthy. I know how important it is to maintain weight, but I desperately need some suggestions.
Oh, that's so difficult. It's a real... Presumably she's having that feeling of not wanting to eat and the sore mouth because of the cancer treatment. That's a classic chemotherapy
and odd tastes
and metallic taste is a taste. And so if you put anything in your mouth, it will taste like metal. It's horrible. So I would suggest that she again, do a food diary. That would probably be a really good thing for her to do. Do a food diary so she knows exactly what food she's taking, and tell her to hello, you're there. To identify the foods that kind of make it worse, and then obviously take those out of the diet, because spicy foods will make it worse. Indian foods, Chinese foods, all these foods, those foods won't be good for someone like that, because that they'll make their condition worse. She needs to have not a bland diet, but a diet that's not spicy, not too spicy, but lots of fresh vegetables, lots of greens. She needs lots of greens. She needs to build up her magnesium and build up her zinc. Yeah.
Carol, again, if you want to contact Monica directly, it's monica@monica-price.co.uk. I've just going to squeeze this call in, but it is going to be a squeeze.
Okay.
It's Jordan in Sussex. Sorry, Jordan. We've got so many messages.
I'll be great. Hi, ladies. Yeah, thanks for taking the call. So about constipation, my wife has basically constipation quite regularly. She's on Centralin and also on tryptamine. So like a
tryptamine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
hi, Jordan.
Kiwi fruit.
Hi there.
Kiwi fruit. Does she eat kiwis?
She does. She's also taking laxatives as well now, so she's having the opposite effect. And she's having
leave the skin on the kiwi. Are you leaving the skin on?
No, she's not. No.
Ah, you're supposed to eat it like an apple. So brush all the furry bit off, right?
Yeah.
Just get it in your hands, and then eat it like an apple. And the fibre in it's one of the best things ever for constipation.
Yeah, you think that would help? Yeah,
definitely, absolutely.
Now, and she's having the other problem now. She's having this kind of mix between constipation and going the other way.
No. Fibre. You've said it.
Yeah.
Anything fibre, Jordan. She needs to up her fibre. That will really help with the constipation. Is she eating bread, cereals? Is she having pastas, and is that kind of in her diet?
She had a bit of pasta, but not massively. I mean, I think she had laxative, and she'll end up pooing her knickers. So it's gone the other way.
So sorry. Fibre. You absolutely need to have fibrous fruit. Kiwis are fantastic. Have papayas are really good as well. She needs fibrous fruit.